31%. Chapter 81. Master of Swordsmanship. What? Wang Rui's immature face was full of incredible expressions. He couldn't understand what happened just now. Originally, his spear was about to pierce the head of the staring star who was standing still on the spot. But in a blink of an eye, he only felt that the spear in his hand was not under his control, and the spear came out of his hand, and the sword of Qi Wang had hung over his neck. He and Ben didn't see the movements of looking together. Song Yu and Wang Hu also looked surprised and dull. They didn't even see what happened just now. Song Yu was also quite surprised when he saw the shot of Wang Rui just now. The strength of this young man was really amazing. A silver spear in his hand is like a dragon going out into the sea, unstoppable, and the momentum of carrying the wind and thunder at the moment of grabbing seems to break everything. Even if she was not sure to block that shot without any damage, she might even be seriously injured or even killed by that shot. Judging from this shot, her strength was far inferior to this young Wang Rui. However, Qi Wang made an understatement, so he took Wang Rui's spear and put the sword in his hand on Wang Rui's neck to take his life at any time. How could their strength gap be so big? Song Yu's heart was full of astonishment. It seems that the plan this time is useless, and not only that, but also to lose the key in his hand. Song Yu regretted thinking of this. I don't know if Li Fan and Wang Hu can block this sword. Song Yu pinned his last hope on the two. Boom. He looked forward and kicked Wang Rui in front of him, disdainfully said, before speaking next time, remember to weigh your own weight. This time it is a lesson for you, and the next time your head is not necessarily still on own. With a movement of Wang Hu's body, he took down Wang Rui who was flying upside down. Wang Rui's expression was shocked and dull, and there was a trace of humiliation. He didn't even understand how he lost. Why? How come? Is his strength so unbearable? He has gone from body cultivation to Tongqiao state in just over 2 months and has already opened up the 6 acupoints in his body, reaching the 3rd level of Tongqiao. On the ascending tower, he drove through the 4-story tower with a silver spear. Even the guard at the pinnacle of the passing aperture realm on the 5th floor of the ascending sky tower could fight with him for hundreds of rounds without defeat, and even almost cut him through the 5th floor a few times. But I didn't expect that he would be defeated so simply today. With one sword, the opponent defeated him with only one sword. If it weren't for Qi Wang's intent to kill, he would have been turned into a corpse now. All the way smoothly, Wang Rui, who is known as the proud son of heaven, suffered such a sharp defeat for the first time today, which broke his fragile Dao heart. Wang Rui just stood there blankly, motionless. Wang Hu next to him patted him on the shoulder, and said nothing. He still has to pass this level by himself. If he rushes past, he can continue to be brave and diligently. Wang Hu glanced at Song Yu, and shook his head when he saw his ugly face but didn't mean to step forward. He turned and looked at Li Fan, who showed a hint of excitement. Brother Li, let me do this. I want to try Qi Sect leader's sword. Wang Hu stepped forward, looking towards the imposing sea for a while. In fact, he hadn't seen Qi Wang's sword clearly just now, and he knew that his little brother Wang Rui was even better than him. But his focus is defensive, he has thick skin and is very resistant to fights. If he resists with all his strength, he should be able to take this sword with a certain degree of confidence. You don't understand what I said, or you think I will not be a killer. Any cat or dog will dare to pick up my sword. I don't have enough strength, but I have to come to die. I didn't kill that kid just now, but I didn't want to dirty my sword. Are you sure you want to try again? Qi Wang was dressed in a white robe, and he slightly raised his jaw and turned towards Wang Hu in front of him. Wang Hu's complexion was a little ugly, and he gritted his teeth and said, Qi Sect leader, please make a move. Humph. Qi Wang was too lazy to say something. The long sword in his hand was like a breeze blowing without a bit of murderousness and fierceness, slowly advancing in front of everyone, but it made people feel unpredictable and difficult to capture its trajectory. This contradictory feeling made Wang Hu feel uncomfortable when facing this sword, as if Mingmingshan's body was itchy but he couldn't scratch the itchy place, aggrieved and disgusting. Knowing that he couldn't evade and block this sword, Wang Hu was also cruel, and his body burst out with golden light, dyeing the whole person into a pure gold sculpture. And around the back of the body appeared a protective shield that looked like a bodyguard, covering the front 3 feet of the whole person. Our head has a bright body. This style is a tyrannical method of protecting the body that Wang Hu has exchanged for his accumulated merits during this time. With this technique, he forcibly carried the fierce attack of the guards of the climbing tower to the 5th floor. He is not good at any smart and exquisite movement techniques and tricks, but with this Arhat's light body, he can also be invincible among the same rank. What's the point if you can't even break my defenses if you have 1,000 kinds of tricks and tricks? Moreover, Wang Hu, who used Arhat's bright body, is not like a tortoise that can only passively withstand attacks. He can use spells to protect his body while attacking the enemy. What he walks is a fierce way of fighting for his life. It's just that the enemies who fell in the end were all his enemies, so far no one has been able to defeat his Arhat's bright body. As for the current Wang, who did not counterattack, but completely urged his body protection spell and even stimulated this spell to the second layer to form body protection chi. The defensive power of Arhat's bright body in this state undoubtedly gained a stronger ascension. In this state, he doesn't know how strong his defense is, but it is estimated that even the cultivator under a single strike of Guanli is difficult to break his defense. Come on. Wang Hu's voice was tinged with majesty, as if glaring at Vajra, arrogant. Song Yu was shocked when he saw Wang Hu, who was like a golden Arhat next to him. The power of this technique is so powerful, it looks very unusual, and Wang Hu will definitely be able to block this sword. This body protection technique is really good. Wang Hu's body is blessed by rich Buddha power, and the defense power of the shield formed by his body and Buddha power in front of him is really amazing. It is estimated that the ordinary Guanli state is difficult to break, but Li Fan said leisurely, standing beside Song Yu. When Li Fan was confronting Wang Rui just now, seeing Qi Wang's sword out of the moment, he was very excited, and couldn't help sighing from the bottom of his heart. What a superb swordsmanship, what a fast sword. If it hadn't been for his delusion-breaking holy pupil just now, he wouldn't have been able to see the trajectory of the sword. And even under the sacred pupil of deception, Qi Wang's sword just now has been slowed by more than 10 times, but it is still as fast as thunder, so that he can only see the afterimage. This shows how strong and fast this Qi Wang swordsmanship is. 31%. Chapter 82. Seeing the Hunting Heart. Li Fan was delighted to see Qi Wang's swordsmanship so exquisite. He used to be very interested in the ancient martial arts of Sha Guo. 18 weapons plus kung fu from all major factions such as Taiji, Xingyi, 8 trigrams, Baji, Kai Lifo and so on, he couldn't count them. Especially since he was a child, he also liked watching martial arts movies, which caused him to see the cultivation system, spells, magical powers, and martial skills that he had never seen before when he came to this strange otherworld. This made him ignite the old martial arts dreams, a group of people flying in the sky like a turn-based game. What's the point of the random setting of spells and talisman that you come and go? It is more in line with his aesthetics that he fists to the flesh, and sees blood. So even if he now has extremely powerful magical powers and thunder methods, he still prefers to use knives instead of choosing to use merits in exchange for practicing various spells. During this period of time, Li Fan actually made it to the 5th floor of the Dengshan Tower. As for why he didn't enter the rankings, it was simple that he was too slow. Other people's hand-to-hand fighting methods are quick to solve the battle, and there is little entanglement for a long time. When fighting, it is usually possible to determine the victory or defeat with one move. But Li Fan is different. He has to spend a long time on each floor, carefully observe and try to figure out the deep sword skills of the guards. When others rushed into his tower for 5 minutes, he relied on the spirit power in his body to be far beyond ordinary behind him, and it took 2 hours to spend 2 hours, and there were not a few people who climbed the 5th floor. He naturally has no rankings. However, Li Fan is more concerned about the level of his swordsmanship than this kind of fame. Recently, there are few times when he has been able to play the swordsmanship he has honed for a long time with people. So he was naturally very excited to see Qi Wang, a master of swordsmanship. Song Yu thought about the words Li Fan said just now, when she heard Li Fan say that Wang Hu's body protection spell is also difficult to break through the ordinary penetrating power realm. She finally let go of her heart, feeling that it should be stable this time. But in the end, I heard another but this sound lifted Song Yu's heart that had just been let down again. She turned to look at Li Fan and asked worriedly, but what? Li Fan said lightly, but this Qi Wang is not an ordinary Guanli cultivator. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Song Yu didn't understand Li Fan's meaning, and you didn't fight with Qi Wang. How do you see that he is unusual? But soon, she saw it. Qi Wang sword slowly touched the Buddha's power shield supported by Wang Hu. Hiss. It was as if the burning red soldering iron fell on the snowdrift, and Wang Hu's incomparably sturdy shield was melted by the long sword that looked forward to him, and he was not obstructed at all in the meantime. After the long sword passed through the bodyguard, it penetrated directly through Wang Hu's abdomen in Wang Hu's unbelievable eyes. The long sword glowing with cold light came out through the body, and the light above the tip of the sword was as bright as washing. Boom! That was the sound of Wang Hu falling to the ground. The dark red blood soaked Wang Hu's abdomen, and formed a sticky stick underneath him. Song Yu hurried forward, took out a medicine pill and gave it to Wang Hu, and used spirit power to help him stop the blood. Cough cough. A trace of blood was left at the corner of Wang Hu's mouth, and he looked lonely at the white figure who needed him to look up and said, "Thank you, my little brother, and I didn't lose in justice." Then he glanced apologetically at Song Yu beside him, did not speak any more, and closed his eyes to heal. Just now, when he was looking forward to piercing his bodyguard with a soft sword, he understood that he couldn't stop it. The fact is indeed the case. If it were not for the critical moment, the sword of Qi Wang was slightly deflected, and it was his abdomen instead of his heart that had been pierced. He is dead now. That's why the sentence "thank you" just now. Song Yu's complexion was also pale at this time. She had never thought of head-to-head with Qi Wang from the beginning, but she thought that even if Qi Wang was strong, but with the strength of the four of them, she would be able to compete with it at least. Defeat. It now appears that she was wrong, and she was wrong. Song Sect leader, can you give me the key now? Qi Wang said. Song Yu reluctantly removed the jasper ring and handed it to Qi Wang. No way, if you lose, you lose. Even if she didn't want it in her heart, seeing Qi Wang's strength, she wasn't sure that she would be able to escape in front of him even if she wanted to use the escape technique. Besides, how could she run? The two brothers Wang Rui and Wang Hu were injured in one mind and the other physically. It was impossible for her to leave these two allies behind. It was even more idiotic to run with two people. If you can run, the monk can't run to the temple. Nuo Da Jin Lingzong is not far away from the extreme view, unless she doesn't even want Sect, just because of an immortal cave that can't enter at all, and the immortal cave key that can't be used, can't make it. As for Li Fan who hasn't played yet, Song Yu sighed at the thought of Li Fan. Last time we went to the Red Ridge Stone Forest together, apart from seeing Li Fan teaching the bear kid, she fainted before seeing him take action. Regarding the strength of Li Fan, she is actually unpredictable, but she should not be below the two brothers Wang Hu. But that's useless. Where is the lesson from the past? It's impossible to change the result with more Li Fan. Moreover, when facing Wang Hu, Qi Wang was already extremely impatient, and even moved a little bit of killing intent. If Li Fan challenges again, Qi Wang is likely to really kill. She didn't want to use Li Fan's life to boast that tiny, completely invisible hope, so let it go. Song Yu handed over the door key of Dongtianfuti to Qi Wang. And many more. A voice came, causing the two to look up. With a bit of excitement on Li Fan's face, he looked at the two and said, "Qi Sect leader, I also want to learn about your swordsmanship." Looking together coldly, looking at the handsome and resolute, somewhat arrogant young man in front of him, he said coldly, "If you are not afraid of death, just come." He has already said before that whoever can catch him without dying even if he loses. It's just that he just clicked to the end. He was not interested in bullying people who were far less powerful than him. But several times, this person still couldn't recognize his own strength to provoke him. He really regarded him as muddled. A murderous intent flashed across Qi Wang's face. Song Yu looked back and saw Li Fan, and said anxiously, "Li Sect leader, I don't plan to fight for this place, forget it. I miscalculated this time. When I return to Jinlingzong, I will offer a generous gift to some of you as compensation." Song Yu persuaded that she really didn't want to watch Li Fan die in vain. It didn't make any sense. Li Fan didn't understand Song Yu's meaning when he heard this, and couldn't help shook his head in his heart. It seems I was really underestimated. He cast a look at Song Yu and said, "Don't worry, I'm sure." This scene really angered the gaze that had always been calm as water. He had never seen such a reckless person, repeatedly provoking him. HMPH. Since you insist on sending you to death, then I will fulfill you. After Qi Wang finished speaking, the hand holding the sword moved slightly, and the long sword in his hand turned into an afterimage which pierced Li Fan's throat. 32%. Chapter 83. Qi and blood are like smoke. Faced with a sword of anger, Li Fan worked with all his strength to break the sacred pupil and finally grasped a trace. There was a sound of collision between gold and iron. Li Fan's long knife firmly held Qi Wang's sword in his hand. Interesting. Qi Wang felt a trace of interest in his heart. A bright light flashed in Song Yu's eyes, and his face was incredulous. How could it be possible for him to take the next sword so easily? Then there was ecstasy on his face. I won, Li Fan, he won. As expected, as long as one of them can catch his sword, he agreed to cooperate. Now that Li Fan has successfully taken this sword, they have the qualifications to explore the cave with Qi Wang. But before she had time to speak, Li Fan's wrist flicked and the fixing thunder knife flashed with faint electric light and stretched straight towards his chest. Li Fan shouted, "It's not over yet, let me see your true swordsmanship." Looking backhand, he swung Li Fan's long knife aside, showing a bit of splendor on his face. If this is the case, then I'll be more serious. In the blink of an eye, the two swords collided and fought together again. Song Yu, who was watching the two of them, was full of question marks on her face. Just now Li Fan blocked Qi Wang's attack. Why did she launch an offensive? She didn't understand. But now it was obviously impossible to stop Li Fan. Song Yu had to stand by and watch the battle between them quietly. Extend, wipe, hook, chop, and cleave. The flying star thunder knife in Li Fan's hand is like a fierce cheetah, flexible and fierce. In addition to his body that has been tempered by a large number of strange treasures, his physical strength and speed are also very powerful. With every attack, there is a frenzied momentum and the sound of breaking through the air. After a fierce confrontation, Li Fan also felt more and more powerful about his swordsmanship. Regardless of the confrontation, he seemed to have the upper hand. The flying star Li Guang knife heart in his hand moved at will with exquisite moves like a broken bamboo, making Qi Wang only able to resist his continuous offensive. But he didn't succeed in breaking through Qi Wang's defense. After playing for a long time, he didn't bring any injuries to Qi Wang. On the other hand, Li Fan's physical strength has been consumed a lot of offensive due to the prolonged onslaught, and he has become weaker. If this continues like this, before he is hurt enough, Qi Wang will have to get rid of his strength first. I can't go on like this anymore. This person is so perfect in swordsmanship that I can't beat him at all with the swordsmanship I have practiced in the ascending tower during this period of time, Li Fan thought. With a move of his thought, the moves in his hand changed to a long sword and a hook to slash towards the right hand holding the sword. With a clang, the sword on one side of the body looked around in a circle and was held by his backhand, and Li Fan's attack was swung away. The two split immediately, and then they wanted to attack each other. Qi Wang was also a little anxious at this time. The sword skills of the person in front of him were not too deep or too strong. At best, he could say it well. It seems that it shouldn't take too long to practice the knife. But his basic skills are indeed extremely solid. A long knife does not leak water, and his physical body seems to be extremely powerful, and his reaction ability is very explosive. This also makes up for his lack of subtle sword skills. In particular, Li Fan fought fiercely. He was not afraid of injury at all. Since the beginning of a few moves, Li Fan has taken the initiative to attack. It was out of control, and the offensive wave after wave of spirit power seemed to be inexhaustible, making him only half of his swordsmanship, and he was constantly struggling to deal with it. Finally, both the offensive was blocked, and there was a moment of pause. Looking at the footsteps, Pian Ruo Jinghong flashed silently behind Li Fan's position like a breeze. At the same time, Li Fan's legs were surging with thunder, leading to afterimages and came to the back of Qi Wang's position just now. Almost at the same time, they changed positions, and the two of them looked at each other before they understood each other's plan, and they all cursed in their hearts. Lao Yin 13. Seeing that the sneak attack was ineffective, Qi Wang's long sword burst out sharply, sword Qi slashed towards Li Fan. This shot was a killer move. Luo Feng's sword, Qi Wang secretly shouted in his heart. Not to be outdone, Li Fan didn't even care to stab his own sharp sword Qi at all. In his hand, the flying star thunder knife burst out with 12 sword shadows, like electricity and wind. Point Kangdao. This knife brought Li Fan's determination to win, and it was a hit with no return. Qi Wang saw this violent stab. His eyelids twitched, and he cursed inwardly, "This TM is trying to split me in half, this kid is so cruel." But the long sword in his hand still kept piercing Li Fan's heart. "I don't believe that you really dare to move forward like this and change your life with me." 1 inch. 2 inches. Li Fan's knife is about to fall on him. He already feels his hair has been erected by the electric light on the long knife, and even his half of his body is a little bit tingling and numb. And the sword of Qi Wang is about to pierce Li Fan's heart, about to pierce his skin, and the sharp sword Qi will soon be able to shatter his heart. But Li Fan still didn't stop back. Now that this step is reached, the spelling is a cruel word, and whoever stops first is completely lost. Li Fan was determined in his heart, but Qi Wang was a little panicked. Seeing Li Fan's stance of fighting for his life, he couldn't help it. FK, what a lunatic. Qi Wangjin's move changed. Sword Qi hit Li Fan's knife to block the long knife, and smashed 11 sword shadows in succession. But this style still hasn't been completely resolved, and the last knife shadow fell directly on Qi Wang's body. Fluttering, there was a bone-bearing wound from the left chest that was looking forward to connecting to the right abdomen before it stopped. Looking back, Li Fan also took the knife in his hand. Qi Wang's face was afraid for a while, but Li Fan didn't show any fear at all. You have won, you have to kill you if you want to kill it. That place is also yours. After saying that, Qi Wang changed the appearance of proud and dusty when he appeared, and sat on the ground without any image. Song Yu saw Li Fan hit Qi Wang severely with a stab, almost couldn't help shouting, he actually defeated Qi Wang, Guan Lijing Qi Wang. It's too unbelievable, it's not right. Judging from the aura of Li Fan's explosion just now, he is just a cultivator of the Apex realm. How could it be possible to defeat the cultivator of the Guanli realm across a big realm? This made Song Yu couldn't believe it. After she was pleasantly surprised, she pinched the flesh on her body. Huh. It must be an illusion. If it doesn't hurt, it's an illusion. Song Yu murmured. Ah, there is a sentence I don't know if it is improper to say it. Wang Hu, who took medicine pill with a 7 to 8th point of injury, said to Song Yu, can you throw your hand away? It was me that you pinched. My wound hurts by relying on it. Song Yu recovered from Wang Hu's voice and was startled, and quickly let go. Sorry. Knowing that she had pinched the wrong person, her white face suddenly turned red. Wang Hu rubbed the wound in his abdomen, and looked at Li Fan who was standing in front of them with a knife, and he was a little stunned for a while. It turns out that he is so strong. Now there is only admiration left in his heart, and he defeated such a powerful eagerness with a single blow at the cultivation base of the Aperture realm. It's really strong. He still didn't understand before. With Li Fan's cultivation base realm can also have a place on the sky climbing tower. How could he not even have a place? Now he finally figured it out. Such a person, such a genius, probably doesn't seem to be worthy of the reward and fame of climbing tower. His realm is too high, and he might not appreciate the 500 merit points per month and the monthly epiphany opportunity for the top 100 climbers. Wang Hu shook his head, full of admiration in his heart. He doesn't care about common names and things outside of his body. This is the model and role model of my generation of cultivator. At this time, even the young Wang Rui, who had stayed in the same place for a long time, came back to his senses. The Li Fan in his eyes seemed to be transformed into a sky-high tree, out of reach. It's like a quiet and deep lake, and you can't see the ground at all. It turns out that this is his true strength, and the person who defeated me with a single sword is not worth mentioning in front of him. It turns out that all my arrogance and all achievements are a joke, and he doesn't put it in his eyes at all. What about the top ranking of the Ascending Tower? What about the 3rd floor of the Aperture realm for 2 months? He now feels like a frog sitting on a well and watching the sky. He has no idea how broad the outside world is. So that the first time I saw a small corner of this world, I was shattered downheart, shattered all pride and fighting spirit. For a while, Wang Rui's heart was ashamed, and he only felt that he would not be able to surpass the person in front of him even if he worked hard all his life. Facing Li Guang knife let out a cheerful hum, like a victorious rooster, wagging its tail and automatically fell into the scabbard. Li Fan looked at the pale and severely wounded in front of his eyes, and asked suspiciously, what are you talking about? What do I want your life for? Isn't it just a competition? I just won a trick by fluke. How can you say something inexplicable? After speaking, he turned and walked in the direction of Song Yu and others. Li Fan turned his back to Qi Wang as if he suddenly remembered something, and paused for a while. By the way, remember to keep the promise and let us enter the cave together. Hey, haha, hiss. Qi Wang looked at Li Fan, who turned and left, and couldn't help laughing, but then let out a bit of pain because of the wound. Qi Wang turned to Li Fan and said, although your sword skills are average, the momentum of the sword is good, and you are also very interesting. By the way, I haven't asked you how to call it. Li Fan turned his head and smiled. Li Fan, your swordsmanship is very strong. I am not as good as you in terms of tricks and sword skills. Qi Wang shook his head and said, if you lose, you lose. I don't need you to comfort me, but I still have a problem. Li Fan looked at him, stopped, motioned for him to continue. Did you really want to die with me at the time? Aren't you afraid of death? Ha, How is it possible? Who cannot be afraid of death? I just think that your sword may not be enough to kill me, at most serious injuries can be saved. I really don't know where you are. If my sword stabs you, your heart will be instantly turned into powder by my sword chi, and the gods will be hard to save. Next time you use the same method, you will lose. Li Fan raised his eyebrows when he heard Qi Wang's confident words, arousing his own powerful physical strength. The vigorous blood qi burst out from him, like wolf smoke, straight into the sky. Li Fan stomped with one foot, and the bluestone pavement under his feet made a tremor. The bricks, soil, and all shattered into powder, arousing dust in the sky. The dust dissipated, and a 3-meter-deep pit appeared under Li Fan's feet. Seeing this move of Li Fan and his majestic blood qi, Qi Wang and Song Yu and others opened their mouths wide. A crow flew over everyone's foreheads. Song Yu, animals. Wang Hu, perverted. Wang Rui, is this something people can do? Qi Wang, beast, I believed you when I saw your perverted body. Blood qi, why are you stepping out of a big hole in my mountain gate? You have to pay. Li Fan, 32%. Chapter 84 The Second Magical Power. After Li Fan defeated Qi Wang also naturally agreed to Song Yu and the others' requirements. Jin Lingzong would be able to explore the heaven and blessed land together with Jishengguan in the future, and the benefits would be divided into 50-50. Song Yu returned to Jin Lingzong to rest for a night, and Qi Wang and Wang Hu, the two injured people, also needed some self-cultivation. In the early morning of the next day, Li Fan and others followed the repaired wounds and went to this place where magical powers might be hidden. Under Song Yu's key to the Blessed Land, restrictions, which were originally extremely unbreakable at all, were opened as if nothing was left. Along the way, everyone also harvested a lot of good things. In an immortal cave, Li Fan and others harvested 10,000 spirit stones, and Li Fan alone received 4,000 spirit stones. It also includes a medicine garden found in it, and various precious refining materials stored in various secret places. Li Fan is divided into about 40%. This was decided unanimously by everyone. After all, Li Fan has the qualifications to get so many. If there are fewer points, a few people will not agree. The strong have the dignity of the strong. Li Fan didn't pretend to shirk. Even though he didn't care about these things very much, his goal was only the stone stele in the deepest part of the cave that might contain magical powers. But since several people decided to let him take the bulk of the harvest, he took it with ease. During this period, the two brothers Wang Hu, Wang Rui and Song Yu looked satisfied. In their opinion, if it weren't for Li Fan, they wouldn't even be able to get a dime, and they would be very satisfied with the harvest now. The search speed of the people along the way is fast, like a locust crossing the border. Anyway, these precious treasures and resources are also wasted here. They can only be used if they are taken away. After all, their strength can also contribute to the fight against weirdness. I believe the owner of this heaven and blessed land should not. Purpose. Of course, the owner of this blessed land should have emerged long ago, otherwise they would not have discovered such a huge secret realm. Not to mention that Song Yu had obtained the key to this cave world. Soon, a few people came to the final destination, a black bowl-shaped hill that looked like an upside down. This hill stands in this blessed land with abundant greenery and trees, which seems a little out of place. Li Fan watched carefully for a long while, and found something unusual under his sacred pupil. The whole Black Mountain is surrounded by a strong spiritual qi, as if there is a natural gathering of spirits in it. Most of the spiritual qi in the whole secret area is attracted to the vicinity of Black Mountain, as if it is nourishing and enshrining this inverted bowl-shaped hills. However, under the Black Mountain, there is a strong yin qi, which is transformed from the large amount of spiritual qi in this place through the terrain and formation of mountains and rivers. This made Li Fan feel that this place is not like a mountain, but like a huge grave. Yes, it is a grave. Li Fan was shocked when he thought of this, but he didn't say much. He didn't find or feel any crisis under the observation of the broken sage pupil, but the dark underground made him feel a trace of terrifying coercion. Of course he didn't want to do some digging to see what stupid things were in the ground. After all, this big tomb looks unusual, and there must be a lot of people who can open up a large piece of blessed land just to protect and maintain this big tomb. In case someone really owes it to someone, and if the funerary objects in the cemetery are not enough, they have to dig their graves. It is estimated that this place will not be as peaceful as it is now. The four brothers Song Yu, Qi Wang, and Wang Hu also felt the difference when they arrived here. The spiritual qi here is too rich and almost turned into water. The rich spiritual chi gives them an illusion, as if they have a point of diligence every time they breathe in their cultivation base. But one thing is certain, if they practice in this place, it will definitely benefit their realm ascension. Several people even wanted to sit down on the spot and start cultivation. However, a few people are still sane, and they have not forgotten their goals. Especially Song Yu, although she was also surprised at this natural practice sacred land. But after all, she had been here once before, and the escape technique she mastered was obtained from a stone stele above the Black Mountain. Here is the deepest part of this blessed land, Nuo. On the flat ground in the middle of the top of the mountain is the stone monument that allows people to comprehend the moral and diligence of the cultivation base. Song Yu pointed to the front and said lightly. The few people were not wordy, and directly followed Song Yu to the middle of Montenegro. A rectangular stele measuring 5 or 6 meters high and 1 person wide was reflected in front of several people. The indigo-colored stone stele permeates a trace of primitiveness and oldness, which is daunting. The usage of this stele is very simple. Run your cultivation technique here, and just let your mind go and observe. I was here to observe this stone stele. I lasted for about half an hour. I saw a vast ocean and a vast land on the stone stele. It was also here that I realized a secret technique. And cultivation base and mood also got ascension, but I can clearly feel that there is more than that in this stone monument. What I have seen and understood in the whole stone monument is like a drop of water in the ocean. I have to try again this time, and see if I can learn more after I improve on cultivation base. After Song Yu finished speaking, he directly sat down in a clearing and began to observe the stele. Naturally, her move was also to reassure Li Fan and others. She had the key to this secret place in her hand, and she had explored it alone and had the deepest understanding of this place. It would be no good if Chi Wang people misunderstood it. Seeing Song Yu's appearance, the two brothers Li Fan, Chi Wang, and Wang Hu also followed suit and found a suitable place to sit down and observe and comprehend the charm contained in the stele. Li Fan sat on the ground, watching the stone stele in front of him quietly rotating the purple energy in his body to open the sky, and gradually he felt a difference. The tall, indigo-colored quaint stone stele turned into a white whirlpool, drawing his mind into it. Under the blue sky, a young man with an elegant figure walked leisurely on the boundless ground, and Li Fan's perspective was brought into this young man. He looked at the scenery in front of this person, endless mountains and rivers, like reflections outside the window, galloped back in front of the young man's eyes. Thousands of miles of earth, abyss and blue sea were no more than square inches under his feet, and he looked up at the sky and there were several long rainbows flying by. They were immortal and ethereal existences flying by the wind. They flew above 9 heavens, vomiting spiritual chi between the beautiful heavens and the earth, a prosperous and peaceful scene. The picture turned around. Li Fan saw the youth vomiting essence of the sun and moon on a high mountain, and in a blink of an eye the scene came to the bottomless dark sea, roaming like a dragon. Time flies, until one day the peaceful breath is broken. The blue sky is covered by the dense and twisted gray mist, and the strange breath falls from the sky and spills over the world. 32%. Chapter 85. Qianyuan Shrinking Ground. The endless gray mist erodes from the sky above the sky to this world. Countless powerful cultivators are resisting them and have laid a magic circle covering the whole world. The cultivators in this world are so strong that even such a terrifying and strangely pervasive gray mist cannot penetrate into this world. But until a majestic shore appeared, a fuzzy figure that was bigger than the entire world, he used that sky-shielding finger to lightly point on the bright magic circle laid by the cultivators. With a bang, the entire overwhelming array burst like a bubble. The endless gray mist poured into this land unstoppably, and the world full of spiritual chi light dimmed. The picture in front of Li Fan turned rapidly, and he could not see any picture as time flew, until the young man reappeared and he was covered in blood but his demeanor remained the same. He didn't have any expression on his face, but when he looked carefully, he felt that there were countless emotions in it. In the end, Li Fan only saw one emotion, which was fearless. With a flying sword, the young imperial envoy cut countless weirdness. No matter how terrifying and powerful the existence is, it looks like a weed in front of his sword. He kept charging and fighting. Hundreds of cultivators accompany him to rush to 9 heavens, breaking through the fog and blockade. Faced with that stalwart him beyond description. The picture came to an abrupt end, and Li Fan's consciousness slowly withdrew from the young man's perspective, into darkness. After a while, a fist-sized ball of light appeared around Li Fan in the dark, like an animal sniffing Li Fan's body. It went around in the air, and finally stopped in front of Li Fan, and merged into Li Fan's body with a swish. The darkness in front of Li Fan's eyes fell completely, and he slowly came to his senses. There was still the tall indigo-colored stone stele in front of him. Song Yu and the others were still sitting in this clearing without any changes. What is the ball of light that merges with me in the end? Who is that young man and what does it have to do with this stone tablet? It turns out that these mists invaded from outside the sky. They didn't exist in this world before. What is he? Li Fan was lost in thought. He felt like he had grasped something. It turned out that this is how the world was invaded by the mist. Those cultivators in the picture are very strong, very strong, very strong. They completely blocked the mist at the beginning, until the unmatched existence appeared behind. It's a pity that some of the pictures in the middle have disappeared. What happened to the world after the mist invasion, and what happened to the cultivators? In the end, the young man and hundreds of tyrannical cultivators broke through 9 heavens and saw him. Did they win? No, if you win, the fog of this world has long been cleared. Did you lose? It's not right. If you lose the strength that exists with that horror, there will be no room for human survival in this world. Can't figure it out. Ding. Acquisition of supernatural powers. Qianyuan Shuji. Ding. This item cannot be increased. 2 reminders sounded one after another, and Li Fan understood what the thing he had just gotten was, another magical power. As for the non-incremental notification sound, Li Fan didn't care either. This magical power should belong to the form of inheritance and not the heavenly Dao reward. There is room for manipulation, so it can't be increased. Moreover, Li Fan discovered that supernatural powers were extremely rare and could not be exchanged in the Star Palace. It should have a unique attribute, so he didn't care too much about the things that couldn't increase, but carefully checked this magical power named Qianyuan Shudi. Supernatural power. Qianyuan Shrinking Ground. Mountains, rivers and ravines, Biwan and the sea come and go freely, unimpeded. Shrink the ground into an inch, fix the ground vein and break the forbidden law. Thousands of miles exist, and it is just now. Note, the magical power of diving into the sea and the secret method of shrinking the ground into an inch. After looking at the introduction of the system, Li Fan basically knew it. In short, this supernatural power was like the young man he saw in the steel space. If deep sea Biwan sees nothing, the territory of thousands of miles is no more than square inches under his feet, and the ability to shrink the ground can be obtained anywhere. It is estimated that cultivation can span the entire passage world in an instant. This supernatural power is different from the radiant power of the 5 thunders and the powerful lethality against evil, but a different way, a different way. Does every kind of magical power represent a kind of Dao direction? Or is every kind of magical power cultivated to the extreme as another kind of avenue? Li Fan was startled by this thought in his heart. Turning his head, his heart was filled with joy again. This trip was not in vain, and supernatural powers were indeed extremely important and powerful methods. What's the matter? Why can't I feel anything on this stone tablet? I just learned a powerful technique on the stone tablet, but only halfway through it, I can't feel anything. The feeling of being stuck in the middle is disgusting. It shouldn't, it wasn't like that last time. Song Yu and Qi Wang also woke up one after another, with doubts on their faces. They were all immersed in the stone steel, and they were kicked out when they understood various spells or had an epiphany. Especially when Song Yu came to insight to observe the steel last time, nothing like this happened. This time it was obviously different from her last experience. She frowned slightly and didn't figure out what was going on. Song Yu turned his head and saw Li Fan with his usual face, and felt something was wrong, but he didn't know where the problem was. Li Fan also noticed their anomaly. Just now after he got the magical powers of Qianyuan Shudi, he felt that the rhyme on the stone tablet seemed to have faded, and now it has completely disappeared. He estimated that Song Yu's comprehension was interrupted because he took away the magical powers he inherited. Seeing the embarrassed expressions of the few people, Li Fan blinked without speaking, and turned his head over without looking at them. As soon as he turned his head, Li Fan saw Song Yu looking at him again. Li Fan scratched his head and smiled with big white teeth, pretending to be completely unaware. HMPH, it really has something to do with you. This acting is too bad. It looks like a guilty conscience. Song Yu held his forehead with one hand and shook his head helplessly. Nothing to lose. Wang Hu, Wang Rui, and Qi Wang didn't know that this situation was not normal. They were depressed for a while and didn't care too much. Although the perception of the few people was interrupted just now, they also gained a lot of benefits. Although they didn't get any magical powers, everyone in the cultivation base was diligent. On average, everyone has the appearance of 3 or 4 small realms. Among them, Wang Hu's got through 6 acupoints and reached the 4th floor of Tongchao. Wang Rui has opened up 8 acupoints, from ascension on the 3rd floor of Tongchao to the 7th floor of Tongchao. Song Yu reached the 4th floor of the Tongchao realm. I hope that the cultivation base is relatively deep. It was originally the cultivation base on the 7th level of the Guanli realm. Now it has reached the peak of the Guanli realm, and can break through to the innate realm at the peak of the martial realm at any time. This saves him nearly 3 years of hard cultivation. Several people are quite satisfied. As for Li Fan, who had gained the most, he felt the majestic acupoints in his body and fell into contemplation. 520 acupoints in 720 acupoints are as bright as stars, but they are all open. I didn't expect to have such a windfall this time, so it only takes more than a month for me to get through all acupoints. Li Fan couldn't help showing a smile. Clean Palace, I hope you can come soon. 33%. Chapter 86. Rare Stability. Having obtained the magical powers of Qianyuan Shudi, and will get through 520 acupoints in his whole body, Li Fan is said to have gained a lot this time, and this trip is also a complete success. There is no other attraction for Li Fan in this blessed land in Xinglian Peak, although this blessed land is extremely good, and the richness of spiritual qi is of great value as a place for cultivation or cultivation of elixir. But Li Fan was not interested in moving Qian Yuanzong to this place, competing with Jinlingzong and Jishengguan for such a small place. Saying goodbye to Song Yu and Qi Wang, brothers Li Fan and Wang Hu also left here and went back to their respective homes. After returning to Qian Yuanzong, Li Fan handed over the spirit stones, treasure materials, and elixir he had harvested to Ren Guan and Hengqing. Also purchased a large number of pill recipes, spirit tools, and magical item forging drawings from the systems trading line. Of course, this time Li Fan browsed the trading interface and got a little surprise. Someone listed the forging drawings of the storage magical item on it. Li Fan has wanted this thing for a long time, but unfortunately he hasn't found it. Let him meet this time, he will definitely not miss it, although the price is really not cheap. A forging drawing costs 180,000 spirit stones, but Li Fan is also wealthy and has just harvested 4,000 spirit stones from the Fortune Land in the Star Refinery Peak. After a 100-fold increase, it is 400,000 spirit stones. Coupled with the accumulation of the entire sun-chasing palace that had been annexed some time ago, the spirit stones he now has reached 1.5 million. Sprinkle the expenditure of 180,000 yuan. The storage magical item and many offensive magical items, the auxiliary magical item, and the pill recipe forging drawings were handed over to the two. Li Fan asked them to transform these things into the resources they needed as soon as possible, and refining a large number of magical items, spirit tools, and medicine pills, so that the strength of Qian Yuanzong disciples could be ascensioned as soon as possible. He wants to arm the Qian Yuanzong more than 2,000 disciples to the teeth. According to Li Fan's estimation, I am afraid that Qian Yuanzong should have a big battle soon. Whether it is the Purity Palace or the Weird Tides after a while, he is going to solve it. Of course, Li Fan didn't worry much about these two things. Qian Yuanzong's strength is not a soft persimmon that anyone can pinch. After explaining everything in Sect, Li Fan started closed-door training, preparing to fully cultivate the acupoints while the Qingjing Palace did not find the door, so as to break through all the accumulation of acupoints in the whole body and break through to the Guanli. Li Fan has a hunch, waiting for him to reach the peak of the realm cultivation. I am afraid there will be a surprise waiting for him. The 520 acupoints in his body are now in an open state, and he feels a subtle change in his own body. First of all, these opened acupoints originally had some very small connections, but now this kind of connection has become more and more powerful as the acupoints opened up. This directly caused him to get through acupoints faster and faster. Originally, he still needed to take Taiching Budian pill to help him nourish and get through acupoints. But now he can't even use the Taiching patching pill. The acupoints in his body is slowly getting through and even automatically connecting to form a natural trajectory, which directly shocked Li Fan. N.S. own realm is not only slowly and steadily ascension, but even acupoints are still related to each other. This is not what Guanlaijing needs to do. The so-called force is to connect the acupoints of the body meridian of the cultivation person together, and then follow the cultivation method of the cultivation technique to make the spirit power follow the cultivation technique trajectory in the body acupoints. When you can connect all the acupoints that you have opened up, Even if you have completed the practice, the acupoints that you have opened up through the meridian can move in one direction during operation. Note that this is not something that can be done simply by doing it, just like every muscle of the human body has its function. And human muscles are symmetrical. For example, there are muscles that allow you to straighten your arms, so there are also muscles that allow you to bend your arms. The way these two muscles exert force is completely opposite, and it is impossible to apply force to one place. However, the Guanli realm does not follow the ordinary cognition so much. What this realm emphasizes is that the power of the whole body can be penetrated and condensed at one point anytime, anywhere, and burst out with a powerful force that is 100 times more than normal. Li Fan felt that not only did he not do the acupoints of the whole body in the aperture through realm, he was making a correct decision instead. It bursts out of strength far beyond its own, Guanli realm. Li Fan felt a bright light flash in his mind. The purpose of acupoints is to mobilize the body's muscles, and better use the physical body to explode the spirit power in the body. Quote, then if I further improve the foundation of my physical body, after the base is larger, will I get a stronger boost? Li Fan felt itchy thinking about this. He was extremely sure that this method would work. Just do it. Li Fan is going to the Star Palace to exchange for a body tempering cultivation technique. This is also the inspiration he received when he saw Wang Hu's Arhat's bright body. There is this kind of ascension physical defense technique similar to martial skill, so there must be a corresponding cultivation technique for tempering the flesh. At the beginning, Li Fan met the person named Yan Shi who was competing with Fu Bingying in the Chasing Sun Palace. That person took the path of body tempering and also had the corresponding cultivation technique. But that cultivation technique was too crude in Li Fan's eyes, and had no value at all. The physical strength of Fu Bingying, Ren Guan, and Heng Qing who only relied on the body tempering he gave to the body tempering of the strange treasure water Yunqi blood surpassed that Yan Shi, who had cultivated his body for a long time. Although Yan Shi's body is too poor, cultivation technique does not seem to be useful, but Li Fan estimates that it is because his cultivation technique is too superficial. For the advanced cultivation technique, he can completely exchange his merits. And now there is no need to spend merits to buy the Taiching Patching pill to cultivate. He can completely buy a high-grade Earth Spirit Orb with his merits to help him cultivate and master the Third Thunder method of the Five Thunders. At present, Li Fan has more than 270,000 merits. In addition, during this period of time, his disciples killed a lot of weirdness in order to accumulate sect contribution points in exchange for cultivation resources, allowing him to gain massive merit points. He now has 320,000 merit points in his hands, and he is back when he was the richest. 2,000 disciples worked for him, and the benefits were so high, but he paid very little. This made Li Fan couldn't help sighing that the blood of capital, and family was indeed black. But it feels so good. Soon, after spending 320,000 merits, Li Fan got 3 things. 33%. Chapter 87. Extreme Fire and Great Sun Divine Body. First rank cultivation technique. Extremely Fire Big Sun God Body. Immortal Ascension of Refined Iron into Steel. Immortal Ascension of the Flesh. Take 9 heavens thunder fire to temper your body. Absorb the sun fire to refine the divine body of the sun. The divine body is transformed into 10,000 evils, comparable to the scorching sun of 9 heavens. Exotic Treasures. Sun Fire. The strongest sun can be used to refine the sun's spirit weapon, Lingbao, or cultivate the great sun divine body. Exotic Treasures. Top-grade Earth Spirit Orb. Refining Tools, Arrays, top-grade materials. This body refining cultivation technique cost Li Fan 20,000 merit points. It is too expensive to die. According to the system, this body refining technique is also extremely tyrannical. 9 heavens scorching sun body soars. This is the foundation that Li Fan specially uses to temper his physical body so that he can better display his own strength after reaching the Guanli realm, so that he can maximize the potential of his body's 720 acupoints. And according to him in the battle with Qi Wang, Li Fan himself also felt the benefit of a strong physical body, that is, he can make up for some of his lack of swordsmanship with the power of the physical body ascension. At the beginning, facing Qi Wang's exquisite swordsmanship, Li Fan did not have the advantage at all. In the end, it can be said that the victory was completely based on the strong body, speed, strength, agility, explosiveness, and reaction ability. Just one. This also made Li Fan aware of another function of the physical body, not just anti-beating. It can also allow him to better practice diligent swordsmanship. The sun flame is very interesting. The introduction of the system said that to practice the extremely hot sun divine body, you need to use 9 heavens fire thunder to temper your body. It just so happens that Li Fan masters the fire thunder method among the 5 categories. With this, he has a good environment for cultivating the cultivation technique, but the cultivation of the physical body is not just violent cooking, and the materials need to be constantly repaired and strengthened to withstand the continuous tempering. At this time, he needs to use the treasure of the sun to nourish his physical body. This sun fire marrow is the best treasure that can nourish his physical body. Needless to say, the Earth Spirit Orb, at this time, he spent a full 300,000 merits on his most expensive item. But with this thing, Li Fan is sure to master the third earth of the 5 thunders, the law of thunder, within a month, which is also worth the money. He doesn't need to worry about getting through the acupoints, just wait for the acupoints in the body to automatically associate, and all the materials for the remaining cultivation techniques and magical powers are also ready. Now he just needs to focus on these 2. The momentum of practicing the magical thunder method and triggering the fire thunder body tempering should not be small. In order not to cause too much movement, Li Fan deliberately left the Qianyuanzong sect and came to a secluded mountain forest. More than half a month passed in a blink of an eye. The acupoints in Li Fan's body have been opened up to 620, and he will complete the cultivation of the Tongqiao realm and reach the Guanli realm in less than half a month. And during this period of time, his extremely hot sun divine body had a good physical foundation before, and the advancement has also reached the point of small success very quickly, reaching the level of matching with his spirit power realm. With the help of the top grade 2 Earth Spirit Orb, his mastery of the third thunder of the 5 thunder supernatural powers has also been completely successfully cultivated. Wood makes fire, and fire makes soil. Li Fan can feel the power of his 5 thunders ascension several times, and now he is dealing with the early stage cultivator like Ji Wu's early stage cultivator. A single wooden thunder can disperse his soul and turn into dust. In short, Li Fan is still very satisfied with his practice during this period of time, and everything is developing in a good direction. However, he always felt that the environment around him was becoming more and more depressing. The sky above the mountain forest he chose had been covered by dark clouds for this period of time, and as time went by, the dark clouds became thicker and heavier, and the sense of oppression became stronger and stronger. Could it be that there is an unknown danger in this place? Li Fan was a little uneasy, so he simply changed to another place to practice. Now he has no time to pay attention to this kind of thing, and it is the right way to quickly upgrade his own strength ascension. It's a pity that the sky doesn't fulfill everyone's wish. Li Fan moved to a more remote place, but the dense black cloud on the top did not disappear, but followed Li Fan. Wherever he went, the black cloud on his head followed. At this moment, Li Fan's face was a little bad to look at. FK, against me. In the past few days, I can feel that the dark clouds above my head are getting heavier, and the pressure around me is getting stronger and stronger, which has affected the speed at which I can get through the physical acupoints. And the fog around me doesn't seem to be honest, and it has become more and more active, including the weirdness that has gathered around me more and more. What the hell is going on? Can it be weird that you want to kill me? Li Fan shook his head, feeling unlikely. His little cultivator is worthy of waging such a big battle weirdly. And can weirdness manipulate heavenly Tao? Impossible. Yes, Li Fan felt a breath of the same kind of heavenly Tao merit from the dark clouds above his head. That was the breath of heavenly Tao. The oppressive force he felt in the increasingly dense black cloud over his head should be related to heavenly Tao. As for the weirdness that kept gathering around him and launching attacks and harassing him, he didn't know much about it and didn't care. There is nothing to fear from a group of rats in the shadows. These days he has killed more than 20 weird people who attacked him. As for the weird people who were watching from afar, he also tried to chase and kill them. But those weird groups are also really smart. As soon as Li Fan chased them, they disappeared. Li Fan stopped and they stopped. Relying on the supernatural power of Qianyuan shrinking ground he just obtained, Li Fan chased and killed all these weirdness very easily, gaining a total of more than 40,000 points of merit. But after killing one batch, another group gathered from nowhere. They couldn't kill them all and wasted his time in practice. Li Fan looked at the mountains and plains looming, and the weird sounds that made him felt a tingling scalp. He wanted to return to Qianyuanzong, but he was worried that the dark cloud on his head would cause any harm to his sect after following him to Qianyuanzong. If it really caused some calamity, wouldn't it have caused the entire Qianyuanzong to be exhausted? Having accumulated and developed Sect for so long, he has put in so much effort. Li Fan didn't want to and couldn't let him be so destroyed in danger. Forget it, I will follow along with any tricks, come on. Li Fan glared at the massive weird and thicker clouds, whispered. Anyway, these weird groups have learned to be smart. Instead of blindly stepping forward to death, instead they have organization and leadership that slowly accumulate strength, like a poisonous snake hidden in the dark waiting to give Li Fan a fatal blow. But Li Fan doesn't care. Can you gather strength faster than me? Come if you have the ability. Li Fan was not distracted, and spent the 40,000 merits he had just obtained to exchange 40 drops of the Sun Fire Essence, and concentrated on continuing to practice the extreme Fire Great Sun Divine Body. Time flies, another half-month has passed. Li Fan's physical aura became more and more terrifying, it really seemed to have turned into a Taoist-shaped scorching sun. At this time Li Fan opened his eyes, two blazing fires gushing out in his eyes, illuminating the dark mountain forest covered by dark clouds. 33%. Chapter 88 Two Calamities. With the continuous supply of body tempering and sun fire, Li Fan's extremely fiery sun god body has reached a terrifying realm. And the acupoints in his body is also faintly about to penetrate completely. 720 acupoints have been opened, and the last two are left. At the same time, all of the acupoints he had already got through had been hooked up, forming a set of slightly sluggish operation methods, which also made Li Fan look forward to. I don't know if this situation is considered normal in the Tongqiao realm, and what kind of effect it will have. In the Tongqiao realm, all things to be done in the Guanli realm are done. It is difficult for him to cultivate to 720 acupoints. Will he directly penetrate the consummation realm? Or promote directly to innate? Impossible. As far as he knows, the difference between innate realm and the other 6 realms of martial realm is comparable to Yuni, which is a process from 0 to 1. The process from acquired to innate, from vanity to immortal. It can be said that once you get to the realm of innate, you will have the hope of peaking into the immortal way, even if this hope is only 1/10,000th, 100,000th. But once from innate breakthrough to Tao state, the level of human life will undergo an earth-shaking change. Therefore, it is extremely difficult to achieve innate, refining the body, washing the marrow, exchanging blood, nourishing the internal organs, getting through the body, and piercing the strength. These 6 stages of practice can be said to be the process of shaping the foundation. They are separated at each stage, but they are faintly connected. From the first step to practice, you need a strong physical body. The physical training realm is simply tempered to produce a shell that can support and absorb spirit power. The marrow washing realm improves practice and absorbs spirit power's aptitude to strengthen the bones, and the blood changing realm increases and expands the human body to accommodate spirit power channels, and enhances the human blood qi. As the name suggests, the realm cultivates the 5 internal organs of the human body, but this is not like Li Fan's current practice of the extremely hot sun divine body by tempering the internal organs and making the internal organs hard as iron. Isn't that cirrhosis of the liver and kidney stones? The nourishing state repairs the 5 organs of the human body. The golden, wood, water, fire, and earth correspond to the 5 internal organs of the human body: heart, liver, spleen, lung and kidney. Acupoint penetration is relatively simple, that is, Li Fan is now repairing the acupoints of the human body, condensing all the strength of the human body to the highest point. Innate is using these laid foundations to integrate them together to create a high-altitude building. Li Fan was not sure to reach innate in one sigh. He didn't dare to think so, it was too exaggerated. Going back to the reason why Li Fan observed that the acupoints in his body was slightly sluggish, according to Li Fan's estimation, it should be 2 acupoints not fully connected. But it's fast too. Li Fan looked up at the sky. There was no light in the sky. He couldn't see his fingers when he stretched out his hand. He only saw the occasional glare of lightning bringing a dazzling white light. He ran the extremely hot big sun divine body, and his flesh was like a raging fire, emitting a bright flame, illuminating the surrounding environment. I'm so welcome, Li Fan uttered angrily. Wherever the fire went, the mist was surging. The dense weirdness led the demonic beasts, which originally existed in the forest, to occupy the entire forest, crowded like a vegetable market. Li Fan felt a bang inside his body, and another acupoints penetrated his body. 719 acupoints, right now, Li Fan secretly said in his heart. As Li Fan took another step towards getting through all the 720 acupoints, the dark clouds in the sky became violent as if they were stimulated, and thunder snakes danced wildly above the sky. The dark cloud turned into a robbery cloud containing the majesty of the sky, booming and booming. There was a muffled sound, and a blue robbery thunder fell from the sky straight to Li Fan. It seems that even Heavenly Tao can't allow Li Fan to penetrate all the acupoints of his physical body, and want to bring disaster to destroy Li Fan this anomaly. Thunder tribulation landed on the sky, and Li Fan suddenly burst into blazing golden light. The system on Li Fan seemed to roar silently. It is not the sect leader system of the whole people that brought everyone from Blue Star through it, but the hundredfold amplification system that mysteriously descended on Li Fan's body. Li Fan was a little surprised. What's the situation? Cultivation of 720 acupoints Heavenly Tao is not tolerated, the national sect leader system does not respond, and the 100-fold amplification system shows great anger and dissatisfaction with Heavenly Tao. It's like seeing an enemy. What is the connection between these two systems and Heavenly Tao? Li Fan murmured. Every time Li Fan was thinking about it, Jia Lei came to him. Li Fan's complexion remained unchanged, and he fully energized Xiao Cheng's extremely hot and big sun divine body, and hit the blue thunder snake with a punch. The fists bursting with fiery red flames collided with the thunder as thick as a giant python, and a dull sound resounded through the mountains and forests. Li Fan stood proudly, and the thunder snake blew into the sky. But so, Li Fan raised his head and looked at the sky illuminated by the turbulent thunder in the robbery cloud, and spoke faintly. Boom. The rest of Jia Lei did not hesitate, and went down one after another without a trace of emotion. The second way, the third way. The 10th way. Li Fan was full of fire, clenched his fists and moved forward, smashing all the thunders away. There was a rumbling in the sky, and the rich aura of Jayin disappeared somewhat. Suddenly, the robbery cloud covering hundreds of li in a radius shrank continuously, condensing into an area the size of 10 li. I don't know if the pitch-black Jayin was stained by the thunder pulp in it, or it was too rich, and the color became deep purple. Click. The brewing thunder still did not give up, and the second round of thunder descended. A purple explosion of thunder fell, and Li Fan smiled slightly. I like playing thunder so much. Why don't you take a look at the thunder I use? Yuqing Shiqing, the true talisman tells the alliance. The 5 thunder spell was gently spit out from Li Fan's mouth, and his whole body of flame was absorbed into his body to dissipate, and he pinched the seal with one hand and shouted. A huge blue thunder was led by him from the higher 9 heavens, and it turned a corner and slammed into the purple thunder. The Eastern Liver Palace Mu thunder destroys and rots, melting and destroying the purple robbery thunder. Jia Yun seemed to be provoked, and continuously dropped Jia Lei to collide with that vast and majestic blue wooden mine. 20 consecutive robbery thunders fell, and the blue wooden thunder finally dissipated. But the dark purple catastrophe cloud that was originally dense in the sky has also faded a lot, and now it looks a little illusory. That's all there is. Li Fan snorted in disdain, no longer paying attention to the thunder in the sky. Because at this moment, the 720th acupoints in his body finally got through. At this moment, all the acupoints in Li Fan's body were penetrated, and the acupuncture realm was completed. The trajectory of the acupoints in the body has finally filled up the last gap, and has become smooth and smooth. The spirit power in Li Fan's body keeps running according to the trajectory of acupoints, and the dazzling acupoints quickly connect one after another, as if they have rehearsed thousands of them, natural and proficient. 9 floors of Tongchao. Level of Guanlaijing. 9 levels of Guanlaijing. The pinnacle of Guanlaijing. The changes in Li Fan's body have not stopped, and at this moment, all the clouds on the sky are concentrated and turned into a round black glass bead, and the sky is lit up. Heavenly tribulation turned into a black glass bead and attacked Li Fan unhurriedly and firmly. This black glass bead brought him tremendous pressure. It's not at the same level as the dozens of robbery thunders before. Even if Li Fan's current realm is constantly on, ascension has reached the pinnacle of innate realm, and is still hitting the threshold of innate realm. The strength has been 10 times stronger than before, but the pressure is still huge. No, I have the feeling that if I insist on this black bead, I will die. I can't stop it now. Li Fan's face changed sharply, frowning. At this moment, the dense weirdness between the mountains and forests also became frantic, constantly roaring with unknown meaning. The demonic beasts and the weird all over the mountains rushed towards Li Fan, and they cooperated with Heavenly Tao's Jia Yun to launch an attack together. 34%. Chapter 89. A New Power. Seeing the thunderbolt glazed beads gleaming dangerously towards him, as well as the countless roaring weird and demonic beasts all over the mountains and plains, Li Fan looked determined and fearless. Then his legs were slightly bent and disappeared with a squeak. Qianyuan shrinks. Li Fan's figure looks like a dreamy bubble, illusory and ethereal. Let's go. Li Fan directly used the supernatural power that he had just cultivated. Qianyuan shrank and ran away. Without a trace of hesitation, the figure disappeared 100 miles away. Suddenly, Li Fan, whose breath flickered ethereally, made the mighty black thunder tribulation beat in the sky a little bewildered. And the weird army all over the mountains and plains also gave out incomprehensible notes with a bewildered face, bringing up a burst of noise. How about a human being that size just now? Why is it missing? Did you see that? I didn't see it. Did you see it? I didn't see it either. Gone. Following the breath, we must not let this kind of person survive. He will bring a nightmare to our race. The words of a weird eyeball made the surrounding chi and the weird seem to think of something terrible, and the whole body shuddered. In the blink of an eye, Weird chased Li Fan with the herd of beasts and the Lei Jiaju shining light above the sky. The speed of Lei Jiaju and the Li Fan who use the magical powers of Qianyuan shrinking earth is not at all comparable to these weirdness and demonic beasts. Li Fan and Lei Jiaju throw the weirs away one after another, and disappear directly into the weird. Before our eyes. Li Fan's figure sprinted swiftly, 1,000 feet away after one step, but the black thunder bead behind him tightly locked his breath, making him unable to get rid of it at all. Lei Jiaju is formed by all the power of Jaeyin, without any emotions. It only knows to wipe out the person in front of it from this world to complete its mission. Li Fan ran in front, and Lei Jiaju, who was shining with destroying thunder, chased after him. Realm is still a trace of ascension. Without stopping, I seem to really be able to break through to innate. Li Fan did not panic crossing the endless mountains and rivers, secretly thinking in his heart. Just now when he was breaking through the aperture realm, he felt that his own body seemed to have opened a door to an unknown world. The door in his body gives Li Fan a very special feeling. It is complete, mysterious, powerful and natural, as if it should be like this by nature, and it should exist by nature. All of my spirit power, soul, and blood chi are constantly being absorbed by this door, and then fed back to me. But the power that this feedback gives me is not simply spirit power and physical power. All my powers have been fused into a brand new power. Thoughts surged in Li Fan's heart, wondering whether this change was good or bad. But Li Fan's power is constantly rising, and his breath is getting deeper and deeper, and he is constantly advancing towards the realm of innate. Li Fan didn't know whether this door in his body and this change would be a process that every cultivator that impacts innate realm would have. He has no way and no time to think about the reason for this wonderful change and whether it is normal. Of course, Li Fan at this time just wants to stop the door to absorb and transform the power of his body, but he can't do it. He had tried it just now. Once the door was opened, he couldn't close it again. Just as people couldn't control the flow of blood, the door became a part of his body and he couldn't stop it. But these things are not important now. The reason why Li Fan used Qianyuan to flee quickly was not because he wanted to get rid of the thunder tribulation bead and the weirdness behind him by this magical power. He knew that the robbery that represented heavenly Tao's will, it was impossible for him to avoid the punishment or catastrophe so easily. But after Li Fan penetrated through all the acupoints in his body to form a door, he discovered that his strength was constantly rising, impacting a higher realm. He could feel that if he waited for his realm to ascension again, when the goalkeeper and his power were all transformed and condensed, the thunder tribulation bead behind him would no longer pose a threat to him. He can smash this violent bead. Therefore, there is only one thing Li Fan has to do now, and that is to delay as much as possible and wait for the completion of the transformation. Otherwise, he has no other choice. The mellow, dark and deep thunder Jiaju continuously released its violent heavenly power. It bombarded with fierce force several times, but it kept passing by with Li Fan. Its fierce power bombarded the rivers, jungles, and mountains where Li Fan left a shadow. Boom, boom, boom. The galloping river spanning hundreds of miles was cut off by it, the wide river channel was blasted into a big pit, and countless river water was instantly evaporated. The expansive dense forest was swept by the thunder light emitted from it, turning into scorched ashes. The mountain that went straight up to the cloud was cut off by half of the mountain by its thunder light. Destroy, fierce, and unstoppable are synonymous with that deep thunder tribulation bead, and it will never stop until it reaches its goal. It's almost it. Li Fan whispered, without turning his head to look at the large area of land that was turned into ruins by the thunder robbery. Eventually, a sound of darkness sounded, and the gray mist around Li Fan was dissipated by the force of the weather emanating from his body. Li Fan's body is 10 miles around, clear and clean, and all the mist is evaporated. The immortal Tao is always long and will never die. Yellow springs in the sky, follow my fairy. The loud and majestic sound of majesty resounded in Li Fan's ears, and the brilliant sound between heaven and earth seemed to overturn the world. The mountains and rivers are shaking, the sea is surging, and the earth is shaking. The weird people who followed the breath of Li Fan far away, their bodies trembled involuntarily like chaff. Suddenly, there were dense gleaming patterns in the sky, and the power raised by the shining sound was suppressed. The mountains, rivers, seas and lakes returned to peace. The group of weird people chasing after Li Fan seemed to have been forgiven and slowly restored their calm. Li Fan exudes a burst of spiritual light, the scarlet blood power, the ethereal soul power, and the dignified and profound spirit power. 3 rays of light are tangled together, and they come out from the top of Li Fan's head. Slowly the 3 very different forces merged with each other, are completely merged. The power after fusion is no longer so colorful and amazing, and even the light disappears without a trace. There is not a trace of aura in Li Fan's body now, nor the slightest fluctuation of spirit power or chi and blood power. Coupled with Li Fan's delicate white skin and a pale green robe, it looks like an ordinary scholar in ancient times. After the transformation, Li Fan tried to use the previous academic methods, martial skills, and magical powers, and found that it became more smooth and free, without the slightest lag. Moreover, Li Fan originally wanted to use the spell. He needed to mobilize the spirit power in his body to follow a specific trajectory, and then urge the heaven and earth spiritual chi to perform it. But now, the spirit power in Li Fan's body has disappeared, and what is transformed is an invisible power. Li Fan can only feel this peculiar power but can't see it. This force is like an arm instructing the heart to move at will, without deliberate mobilization at all. This is part of him. Is this the power of innate realm? Li Fan's palm spread out, and the 3 powers of thunder, wood, fire, and earth, were constantly entangled in his palm. There was also a huge soil thorn that was comparable to a giant elephant suspended in front of him. Now it's time to settle the accounts. Li Fan stood still and said lightly. 34%. Chapter 90. Understatement. Seeing Li Fan stop, the violent Lei Jiaju rushed forward with the rushing power of heaven's punishment. With a bang, Li Fan clenched a fist with one hand and slammed out. The thunder power of blue, red, and yellow on his fist covered his hand, and it slammed into the thunder tribulation bead. The ground under Li Fan's feet shattered inch by inch, spreading around like a spider web, but his body did not recede, and he still stood firmly on the spot. The power of Lei Jiaju's violent day's punishment was blasted away by Li Fan. A crack appeared on the body of the black and perfect Lei Jiaju, and then it flew out 100 meters. I didn't expect it to be so useful for controlling 5 thunders. It feels like a layer of armor. Li Fan stood straight, his whole body wrapped in thunder light. Come again, Li Fan shouted, put away the thunder light wrapped around him, and rushed out with a knife. 12 sword shadows attached to the facing thunder knife. This does not seem to be my limit. Li Fan cast a few swords and whispered suspiciously. Then, 20 sword shadows. 30 sword shadows. In the end, 36 sword shadows came out, clinging tightly to Li Fan's blade, blending with Fei Xing Lei Guang knife without distinction. Point Kang with 36 knives, and 36 knives are superimposed, fast as lightning, opening mountains and rivers. With the blessing of the new power in Li Fan's body, Dian Kang Dao was urged to the extreme. Li Fan, who could only display 12 sword shadows, now has 36 sword shadows appearing together, with fierce power. The shining slender blade slashed on the crack of the Lei Jiaju. Without any hindrance, the Fei Xing Lei Guang knife flashed past. The Lei tribulation bead also shattered into 2 halves, and then the remaining knife energy kept slashing on the broken black bead body fragments until the fragments of the Lei tribulation bead also turned into powder. Step on. On the empty plain, hundreds of weirs followed with tens of thousands of demonic beasts. The weirs saw the picture just now, and Li Fan smashed the pitch-black beads that carried the power of heaven's punishment that made them fearful. The audience was silent. 1 second, 2 seconds. The weirs stopped where they were, and didn't even dare to make a sound without moving. Ulu %% # at a string of unintelligible voices. What to do? This person doesn't seem to be something we can swallow and kill. Have you seen it? The bead of heaven's punishment that was so big and fierce was chopped to pieces with a single knife. No, it was all turned into powder. It was too cruel. Then we are all chasing here. Can't we make it after all? A group of weird turned their heads to look at the questioning companion, as if looking at a fool. There was a clear meaning in their eyes. To go up to you, don't hold us. Ignoring that stupid fellow clan, the weird one with vertical eyes continued to whisper quietly. Leave these demonic beasts to die. Let's retreat quietly, don't attract the monster's attention, and then report the person's affairs to it. All weird nodded unanimously, thinking that this proposal is good. But before they could move, Li Fan's voice rang in their ears, it's all here, don't leave. The weirs turned their heads and saw Li Fan's sunshine smile with white teeth, and shuddered again, as if remembering the terrifying power that made them shudder just now. Run, that monster is coming. The weird vertical eyes roared behind him. But when he turned his head and saw, he was almost pissed to death. All the other weirdness had all been scattered long ago, and only one of them remained silly in place. You bastards. The overwhelming thunder net covered the demonic beasts that had been eroded and turned them all into coke. Li Fan smiled, holding the fixing thunder knife and chasing after the weird vertical eye that has been making a weird howling. He was still a little puzzled in his heart. This weird name was so fierce, it sounded like he was going to fight him for life and death, but he ran so fast. In a blink of an eye, it surpassed many of the weirdnesses in front. Li Fan couldn't figure it out, so he popped a few stone thorns and beheaded a dozen weird ones along the way. He quickly caught up with the weird vertical eye, raised the knife in his hand, and the flying star Liguang knife brought the sound of tearing and split the strange vertical eye in half. You bastards actually left me behind. The vertical eyes let out a final scream, and died with anger. Li Fan didn't even look at this weird vertical eye weird. He used Qianyuan Shrinking Earth's magical powers, and quickly caught up with all the weird that fled and beheaded them all. I really don't know what they think, don't you have a brain? Li Fan shook his head, obviously just now he showed them extremely quickly and threw them away. As a result, they still catch up tirelessly. It doesn't matter if they catch up, they should know that it is impossible for them to run on. Gather most of the power to fight him, and then secretly split up a few weird escapes, there is still a little hope of escape. But it seemed useless. Li Fan smiled and looked at the huge amount of heavenly Dao merits. Ding! Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining 21,400 wisps of heavenly Dao merit. The golden light of merit descended from the sky and slowly descended, but when it reached his body, he was a little reluctant, showing great rejection, unwilling to blend into his body. Li Fan frowned and looked at the golden light of merit that you scattered around him, and raised his brows. However, in an instant, the power of the 100 times amplification system emerged, and the golden light of merit was forced into Li Fan's body. Looking at the scene in front of him, Li Fan thought. It seems that the two systems in my body and the heavenly Dao of this world are not of the same origin. The sect leader system of the whole people seems to be close to the will of heavenly Dao of this world, or is it all one? However, the power of the 100 times amplification system is independent, even against the national sect leader system and heavenly Dao's will. This point Li Fan had guessed from the signs shown by the previous two systems, but at that time, he was not sure. But at this moment, this guess is probably true. From the time I was about to get through the 720 acupoints of my body, I felt that the heavenly Dao of this world was targeting me, while the sect leader system was silent, but the 100 times amplification system showed great resistance. Quote. It turns out that this is the case. Heavenly Dao is related to the sect leader system. Li Fan sighed affirmatively. By the way, when the door inside my body opened just now, I seemed to hear something. Li Fan recalled the situation just now. The immortal Dao is always long and will never die. Yellow springs in the sky, follow my fairy. That's right, it was these two sentences that Li Fan remembered for a little while, and these two sentences reverberated in his ears at the time, so deafening that he couldn't forget them at all. Li Fan's heart sank, looking at the arched door-like light body emitting a soft light in the center of his mind. It seems that this is the door that caused heavenly Dao's hostility to drop thunder tribulation. This door shouldn't be produced during the normal promotion of the innate realm cultivator at all. Li Fan made this judgment. When he confronted that Lei Jiaju just now, he was suspicious that this Lei Jiaju was too strong and too abnormal. The pinnacle of Guanli realm had nothing but escape in front of it, and couldn't fight it at all. This is also the pinnacle of Li Fan's penetrating power realm. It has opened up 720 acupoints, and connected the 720 acupoints. It also brought the extremely hot sun god body cultivator to Xiaocheng, and the flesh was violent. The pinnacle of strength. According to his judgment of his own strength, his strength before breaking through and transforming all his strengths just now is nothing to do with ordinary innate realms. This is still an overestimation of the strength of those innate realms. In this way, heavenly Tao, two very different systems, weird. What is the relationship between these four? Li Fan remembered the picture he saw when his consciousness entered the stone tablet insight. The mist descended from the sky, as well as the terrifying outside of the sky, which was larger than the entire universe of stars. With one finger, he broke through the huge array of countless powerful cultivators. At that time, I didn't see the shadow of heavenly Tao. It stands to reason that heavenly Tao had some reaction to foreign invasion. After all, even a small martial arts cultivator has given him a powerful punishment. It doesn't make sense to ignore the existence and fog that invades this world. Isn't this heavenly Tao still a slap in the face? Civil War Illusion God. 35%. Chapter 91 5th Rank Sect. Amidst the rolling mountains in the Kanglan region, a goat-like phantom with a terrifying breath all over his body turned around suspiciously and looked behind him. It seems that something terrible has happened. Forget it, it's important to wipe out the human being who broke our plan. If you do something wrong, you will have to pay the price and bear the anger of our race. Mom Bell turned his head and tore up the last human cultivator in front of him. It's still wrong, that person is not here. But there are people here with his breath. It didn't care if it killed the wrong person, leaving the dead silent sect full of corpses with broken arms and blood flowing in a river. It turned and left, following the slight breath left by that person, and left this tragic place. Qian Yuanzong, Great Hall of the Sect. Li Fan sat on the Mudden Spirit Jade chair, carefully checking his own changes. Properties Panel. Li Fan, Sect Leader of Qian Yuanzong. Realm. Ground floor of Foundation Building. Cultivation Technique. Purple Qi opens the Heaven Sutra, Extreme Fire Day Divine Body, Hoshin Ziyu Secret Technique. Martial Skill. Point Kang Knife, Profound Thunder Step. Spells. Soul Soil Thorn, Soul Soil Shield. Supernatural Powers. Master the Five Thunders, Qianyuan Shuji. Sect Level. 8 products can be Ascension. Foundation Building. Isn't it an 8 realm? Li Fan put his chin on his side and thought. Since he got through the 720 acupoints of his whole body, his path of practice has undergone an uncontrollable change, which makes him unable to understand. Does it pass the innate realm directly and reach the realm? It doesn't seem to be right. According to the introduction of the Zichication scripture, the practice of Taoism is mainly about the practice of continuously smelling enlightenment, and the ultimate emphasis is on the unity with the Tao, the imperial master of heaven and earth. The first stage of Tao Jing should be to hear Tao Jing, which is totally different from foundation building. The foundation building sounds a lot like the realm division in those fairy Shaw novels that Li Fan had read in his previous life. Li Fan frowned and thought for a while. It seems that this kind of realm and Tao are completely unrelated to two ways of practice. But since his path of practice has already taken place, he has nothing to say, so let's take one step at a time. Anyway, the power of this foundation building environment is much stronger than innate realm. By the way, Qian Yuanzong's rank can be Ascension. Thinking of this, Li Fan clicked to upgrade. Since his sect rank Ascension reached the 8th rank, his sect rank hasn't moved for a long time. I don't know if my foundation building realm corresponds to Tao realm or martial realm. If it is Tao realm, my sect rank can be Ascension to the 5th rank. Congratulations to Qian Yuanzong sect leader Li Fan. Qian Yuanzong has been promoted to the 7th grade sect upgradable. Unlock the functional building Wan Beast Pavilion. Li Fan did not rush to check the newly unlocked features due to sect ascension. He was going to first see to what extent Qian Yuanzong can ascension upgrade. Li Fan said in his heart. A golden light flashed over the entire Qianyuanzong, shed the breath of the Great Avenue, making the entire Qianyuanzong disciple into a state of epiphany. The disciples of the pill refining, and the martial skill, who were already practicing, all of them were suddenly blessed, regardless of the medicine pill in the pill furnace or the forged magical item, sitting directly on the ground. Sudden insight. The aura of these disciples became mysterious, and their realm bottleneck was also fully loosened, raising the viscera in the middle stage, raising the viscera in the late stage, and in the clearing state. Originally, most of the disciples of Qian Yuanzong, after a period of rapid ascension of cultivation base realm, now many people are trapped in bottleneck. No way, Qian Yuanzong's treatment is too good. Spirit stones are abundant, and medicine pill is not limited. As long as you have enough contribution points, you can eat medicine pill as jelly beans. However, the path of cultivation still requires the cultivator to realize it. It is not just relying on medicine pill resources to pile up forcibly. If this is possible, then it will not be that many people will be stuck in a certain bottleneck for many years. Of course, except for those who can use the heavenly Tao merits to exchange for the medicine pill that contains Tao Yun insights, such as Li Fan. However, medicine pill, which contains Taoist sentiment, is also extremely expensive, and ordinary people can't afford it. Only Li Fan, a cultivator that has a hundredfold increase or is extremely vigorous and constantly killing a large number of weird cultivators can afford it. But now, after Qian Yuanzong was promoted to the 6th rank sect, the whole sect of Qian Yuanzong cast a large amount of Taoist rhymes, which made many disciples begin to ascension their feelings about the practice of realm. At this moment, it can be said that it has directly saved the Qian Yuanzong disciples years of hard work, and no longer has to struggle hard in a certain realm. According to Li Fan's estimation, almost 90% of Qian Yuanzong's 2,000 disciples can ascension to the Tongqiao realm. The remaining people in Chengdu are those who don't have enough cultivation base. They are basically the cultivation base of the transmutation realm. However, after this time of heaven's falling Taoist rhyme and the support of a lot of cultivation resources, I believe they will be able to slowly break through to Tongqiao soon. Environment. Li Fan was very satisfied with the reward Qian Yuanzong received for his promotion to the 6th rank sect. Sect disciples are the cornerstone of sect and the most important foundation. Realm ascension of disciples can also help Li Fan behead the weird and collect merit faster, as well as mine the resources near Qianyuanzong. Complementing Li Fan's realm can also quickly ascension, and his realm's improvement can also drive sect's strength level ascension, which in turn drives his disciples' realm's ascension. This is a virtuous circle. Isn't there any new sect function unlocked this time, but it's worth it if there is a heavenly Taoist rhyme. Li Fan said. It seems you can continue ascension. Li Fan looked at the upgradable sect attribute panel displayed, and continued to click ascension. A moment after Li Fan clicked to upgrade, the thin golden light above Qian Yuanzong sect was covered by a large colorful cloud, and a large amount of merits fell from the sky on every deposit of Qian Yuanzong's land. In sect's spiritual field, countless elixirs just planted are nourished by the merits of the sky, and they are mature in a short while, and they have not stopped, continue to grow, and the power of the medicine is constantly increasing. Countless disciples in sect who are sitting cross-legged and perceiving Tao Yun also have a lot of merit and golden light. Although they did not let their realm ascension immediately, the aura of these disciples was much more solidified, like Li Fan after practicing the Ho Shen Ziyu secret technique and condensing spirit power, the spirit power in their bodies also solidified a lot. Although Li Fan did not practice the Ho Shen Ziyu secret technique to continuously compress the spirit power in his body was about to turn into a solid state. But it also stared a lot more than their misty and thin spirit power before, and they almost turned to liquid. The benefits of this kind of change to these disciples are endless. With this kind of change, their chances of encountering bottleneck will be smaller in the future. And when it hits the realm in the future, it will be easier to break through. This is a long-term benefit, and the water will flow. Congratulations to Qian Yuanzong sect leader Li Fan. Qian Yuanzong was promoted to 5th rank sect. Unlock new features of sect, Naling Array. Reward a lower grade spirit vein. Full system announcement. 35%. Chapter 92 Spiritual Qi Chengyu. Another wave of system announcements. Li Fan's name once again appeared in front of the 5 billion people in the system. I rely on. What's the matter? Someone will promote sect to the 5th rank, it's incredible. Don't mention that my sect can't go up completely after it reaches the 8th rank. Without spirit stones, medicine pill, or cultivation technique, I've been stuck in the dirty state for a long time. Realm doesn't go up at all. Ascension doesn't go up at all. The stronger, if this continues, I'm afraid my sect will be destroyed in the weird riot next month. Brother upstairs, I'm almost the same as you, but I'm a bit more miserable than you. You just need to go out and explore a few times and take the opportunity to kill some weirdness. You can still exchange for a higher rank cultivation technique medicine pill to get the cultivation base ascension up. After the next weird crisis, there is an indigenous sect next to TMD on my side, who has been harassing me and wanting to annex my sect. My sect disciples teamed up to explore the fog. Many teams disappeared inexplicably. Later, when I followed to investigate, I found out that it was the native sect next to him that was messing up. The key point is that the sect leader is more powerful than me. He blocked my sect by doing this. I can't kill the weirdness and I can't get the merits. The cultivation base can't go up, and I am suffocated to death. Brothers Wang Hu and Wang Rui in Kanglanyu. Wang Hu. Last time we saw him, he seemed to have a mastery level. Now he puts Sect Ascension to 5th rank. Doesn't it mean that he has achieved the 2 big realm breakthroughs in just a few days? Territory. Wang Rui. Yes, it should be. Wang Rui's expression was dull, and he couldn't believe it, and said, "What a monster." Jin Lingzong Song Yu. I don't want to work hard anymore, I just want to hug my thighs. Seeing the sensation caused by the system's chat interface, Li Fan was a little helpless. He really didn't want to be so popular, it was troublesome. However, he was quickly distracted by the function opened after Qian Yuanzong was promoted to the 5th rank sect. Naling formation. Sect formation. Can gather spiritual qi in the terrain of sect, slowly increase the concentration of spiritual qi in sect. It's a good thing, but this slowness gives me an unpleasant feeling. Li Fan laid down the Naling array and felt its effect. After about 10 minutes, Li Fan probably measured the specific effects of the Nuring array. Let's put it this way, if the spiritual qi is automatically and slowly absorbed by the spiritual qi, it is estimated that it will take 10% of the spiritual qi ascension in Qian Yuanzong in a year. This speed is actually not bad, but it has doubled in 10 years. What's the use? Will he still be able to use this bullshit in 10 years? Ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and obtaining a top-grade spiritual vein. By the way, I almost watched the system and gave such a thing. Li Fan briefly took a look at what this spirit vein was. High-grade spiritual veins. After 10,000 years of nourishment by heaven and earth spiritual qi, the veins of spirit stones are formed, which contain a large amount of spiritual qi, which can be embedded in the sect. Contains at least 3 million spirit stones in the reserve. Li Fan was overjoyed. Good thing, 3 million spirit stones, much more than what I can get by fighting for so long and destroying several sects. However, I don't really need so many spirit stones for the time being. It's better to incorporate them into sect's Naling array for Ascension Qianyuanzong spiritual qi. Li Fan inserted this high-grade spirit vein that stretched thousands of feet long like a giant dragon into the newly laid Naling formation. In an instant, the concentration of spiritual qi in Qianyuanzong skyrocketed 100-fold, and the entire sect was enveloped by a thick layer of spiritual qi, and there was a patter of spiritual qi rain. This effect is a bit too exaggerated, it's worthy of being a high-grade spirit vein. Li Fan exclaimed. With the help of the high-grade spirit veins and the Naling array, I am afraid that within a month, it will be difficult to find a cultivator of the Viscera cultivator in Qian Yuanzong. These disciples who were cultivated within the scope of Qian Yuanzong will at least become the cultivator of the innate aperture realm, and even within a year, most of the cultivators can reach the complete advanced innate of the innate aperture realm. Li Fan looked at the spiritual qi that was drizzling in sect, then looked at the cyan air that was soaring through the sky above sect, and smiled. Qian Yuanzong's luck has also become more prosperous. There are 9 major ranks of sect in the star realm. Correspondingly, sects of different ranks show different air luck. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, gold, air transport forms. These are the 9 forms of sect qi luck. The red faint mist is the performance of the 9th rank sect's luck, and the cyan smoke of Ruju is the 5th rank sect. After arriving at the 1st rank sect, sect's air luck is strong to the extreme. It is said that sect's air luck can transform and transform. Li Fan doesn't know what he has never seen before. Just see from the system's introduction to sect. After nearly 3 months, Qian Yuanzong finally moved from a small broken 9th rank sect to the 5th rank major. Seeing the blue smoke-like air force rising from the inside of Qian Yuanzong, Li Fan was a little excited. Paying for such a long time was not in vain. Li Fan looked very happy, but he looked at the cyan energy of luck over sect that was so ostentatious, he pursed his lips and felt a little worried. Counting the time, then the Purity Palace should be coming soon. If this power of luck is so conspicuous, it wouldn't be good if someone from the Purity Palace sees it. What if they recognize Qian Yuanzong's strength and shrink and become afraid? I'm still waiting for them to come over and take the opportunity to take the last piece of slab from their hands. Li Fan thought to himself, yes, you can try this method. After a while, the thick blue smoke column above Qian Yuanzong twisted and turned into a light yellow smoke screen. The majestic spiritual qi in Qian Yuanzong gradually subsided and the spiritual qi rain stopped. That's it. Li Fan nodded in satisfaction, with a smirk on the corner of his mouth. In fact, for the astral realm of the weak or prey to the strong, it is completely unnecessary to hide sect's strength and luck. On the contrary, Many sects can't wait to make their sect's power of luck appear a little more eye-catching, shape their sect's strength into a very powerful look, and try to maintain their sect's strong image outside as much as possible. But Li Fan doesn't think so. For him, he has always believed in the principle of distinguishing grievances, and he is famous for his behavior. No way, he is too kind. If Qingjing Palace directly admits counseling, he will not be embarrassed to grab it directly. At that time, he still needs to sneak into the Purity Palace quietly and search for it, and take away the slate he needs. This kind of behavior is bad and troublesome. After dealing with these things, Li Fan looked at the many disciples sitting on the ground one by one, digesting this understanding, without disturbing them. 35%. Chapter 93. The path of cultivation is broken. Li Fan went straight back to his own residence. After entering the foundation building, he had not had time to fully appreciate the changes in this new realm. There is also a need to plan the following path of practice, and he has a not very good feeling. From the time when the Thunder Tribulation Orb was smashed and 100 weird were killed, the purple Qi Caitian Jing in his body was unable to mobilize the new power of Qi, blood, spirit and spirit power in his body. At that time, he discovered that this power seemed to be the same as his mind, and that his mind could move freely with the movement of his mind, and only then could he release his magical powers and martial skills. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing. It doesn't matter if you can't use the cultivation technique to mobilize this power, but just don't influence my cultivation. Li Fan kept praying in his heart, don't make a moth. Back to the room, sitting in the lotus position, running cultivation technique, a set of procedures is perfect. Gone. Li Fan yelled angrily, and then unwillingly tried a few more times. The result was still the same. Sure enough, I guessed it right. You can practice step by step to reach the top 3 realms Purple Qi Caitian Sutras at all. Li Fan said while lying on the bed, holding his forehead with his hand. It seems that I have to find a way to find a cultivation technique that allows me to follow this new practice, realm cultivation. Li Fan lay down and muttered, go to the Star Palace and see if you can find it. After a while, gone. Li Fan cursed again angrily. After strolling around from the Star Palace, he did not find the cultivation technique of his current cultivation system. This kind of situation where the required items cannot be found in the Star Palace has only been done twice so far. The first time was the last time Li Fan tried to exchange his merits for several magical powers. Another time is now. There is no relevant information in the system, and no relevant cultivation technique can be found in the Star Palace. Not only that, not mentioning the cultivation technique, Li Fan didn't even find any books about the realm that recorded the foundation building environment. Li Fan became a little anxious. Could it be that my path of spiritual practice was cut off when I reached this realm? Not reconciled, Li Fan ran to Qian Yuanzong's warehouse again. Before, he wiped out the 3 sects of Gemenzong, Wuyongzong, and Zongri Palace plus his subsidiary sect Hanshaozong storehouse. He has gained a lot of cultivation technique, martial skill, and some miscellaneous books with anecdotes, and Li Fan is going to look for it and see if he can find anything. No, neither is this one. Li Fan went through all the miscellaneous books accumulated in the warehouse, but still found nothing. However, Li Fan didn't lose much. He had been prepared for this a long time ago. After all, even the Star Palace, which seemed to contain all the treasures in the world, did not record cultivation technique in books about the foundation building. How could he find any clues from the collection of a few 7-rank 8 sect books? This is simply unrealistic. Li Fan is just holding a bit of luck, and now there is no last bit of luck. By the way, although there are no books that record the content of my current practice system, I remember that there seems to be one other person besides me who beats 720 acupoints. Li Fan picked up a thin booklet with a slightly yellowed cover in the corner, an unusual record of a wild land. I found it. I remember I saw something about someone getting through 720 acupoints from here. I found it, Kilian Mountain, the real Chisong. Li Fan looked at one of the pages of The Unexpected Desolation, with an expression of joy. At the time of breakthrough, the mountains shook, and the sky was obscured by dark clouds. The sky will lay down 9 thunders in a row, trying to kill the newly breakthrough real person Akamatsu. With innate realms cultivation base, relying on the swordsmanship of pointing straight to the avenue, which is almost a god, defeated 5 Dao realm powerhouses in a row. Yes, this is the record. Looking at the information recorded in the book, Li Fan went through a series of comparisons and found that the scene that happened when he made his breakthrough is generally the same. Except for the things that we're gathered and targeted, the rest are recorded. It's just a slight deviation. After all, the book also says it is a rumor, but it's not bad. Li Fan revealed a sense of relief that I am not alone. As long as there is a trace to follow, it's good. Reading the scene of Akamatsu's breakthrough introduced in the book at that time, it seems that Akamatsu really succeeded in getting through 720 acupoints at that time. It says in the book that innate realm has lost 5 Dao realm powers in a row, which is not quite right. Accurately speaking, it should be in the foundation building environment, but it is estimated that the person who wrote this book will not know this kind of thing at all, and Akamatsu will not go around saying that he is different from others. But after so many years, where am I going to find this real Akamatsu? God knows that Akamatsu didn't find a suitable method for him. If he finds it, it's okay to say that realm will continue to live ascension for thousands of years. Even though it had been 1,000 years since the book was written, the real person Akamatsu must still be alive. But if he didn't find a cultivation method suitable for this system, then Li Fan would not have to look for him at all. Thousands of years have passed, and it is estimated that there will be no ashes left. When thinking of this, Li Fan sighed, is my path of practice really going to be broken? No. Even if I explore it myself and create a new cultivation technique that suits myself, I can't just give up like that. I believe that Madame Akamatsu, who was in the same situation as me back then, will also experience my current situation. No matter what he is, I still have to go down this road. There was a firm light in Li Fan's bright eyes. Li Fan, who was about to leave, saw 2 broken stone slabs exuding a strange aura in the corner of the warehouse, and felt a familiar breath from above. Li Fan picked up the 2 dark yellow broken stone slabs and stroked the complicated patterns on them. A ripple appeared in his heart. This breath is somewhat similar to the breath in the power generated after I opened the door. No, it's not similar. It should be said that they are from the same origin. What's the matter? Li Fan was a little surprised. When he got the 2 slabs before, he didn't see a trace of strangeness on them. But now that he has penetrated 720 acupoints and opened the door to the foundation building, he actually felt a little different compared to before. The dark yellow slate looked so ordinary from any angle, including some time ago after he obtained the desperate sacred pupil. He even visited it once, and wanted to find out the secret of the slate. But he didn't get anything, and later he was no longer in vain. He just waited to find the last stone slab and put it together before making plans. But unexpectedly, now he has made a strange discovery. Could it be that this stone slab has something to do with my spiritual path? It seems that I must go to the Purity Palace. Li Fan thought for a while, thinking. 36%. Chapter 94. Visitors from the Pure Palace. A disciple came to Li Fan and said, Sect leader, someone outside Sect who claims to be Purity Palace came to visit. Saying that Cao Cao had arrived, Li Fan nodded and said, I see. Li Fan just thought about going out to meet the people from the Purification Palace, but after just walking a few steps, his figure paused slightly and frowned. It seems that someone has the same idea as me. Someone avoided the Taiyan Kimen Grand formation he had laid and broke into Qian Yuanzong secretly. Li Fan's transformed divine sense perception is extremely powerful. His divine consciousness can only spread over a radius of 300 meters, and when using his own divine consciousness to explore the surrounding area, his divine consciousness consumes a lot, and he can only maintain a stick. Fragrant time. Now that he reached the foundation building realm, his spiritual thoughts could envelope the entire Qian Yuanzong. It can be said that the wind-blowing operation around Li Fan for a radius of 3 kilometers could not escape his induction. And it can be maintained for a long time, even if the divine consciousness he consumes can't keep up with the speed of his recovery. Compared with before, his divine mind is more than 10 times stronger. Li Fan's mind turned, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. When the dose comes, someone will give a pillow. It seems that there is a reason to go to the Qingjing Palace. Under his perception, there were 3 people sneaking into Qian Yuanzong, and the direction of advancement was the location of his warehouse. Interestingly, the people in the Purity Palace have some tricks. It seems that they can locate the slate in my hand. I don't know how they did it. Li Fan whispered. But they didn't seem to realize that I was still here. Li Fan condensed his aura and stood quietly waiting for the 3 people to arrive. At this moment, in Qian Yuanzong, the 3 people who sneaked into Qian Yuanzong walked slowly, shrouded in a tiny shadow, aiming at the direction where Li Fan was. The 3 of them were completely hidden in the shadows, conveying the news with their spiritual thoughts. The Jiwoo who chased the Sun Palace is really a waste. In the end, we want our Purification Palace to go out in person. HMPH, with our support, the trash lost to a mere 7th rank sect. I really don't know what he has in his mind. I think Qian Yuanzong's defense is very sloppy, it's really boring, and the big formation outside sect is not bad, but it can't stop the escape beads from the palace lord. Let us pass through the big formation easily. Come in. Or our palace lord is preparing for the 10 territory competition, and I really don't have the time to pay attention to the little Qian Yuanzong in this remote corner, where we are going to sneak in and get things back. The army directly suppressed the formation and destroyed this small sect, and asked them to obediently offer the treasure with their hands. Okay, we're almost here, stop chatting and pay attention, be careful of overturning the ship in the gutter. A calm middle-aged man among the three said in a voice transmission. At this time, the other two people also fell silent and stopped transmitting, although they still didn't care about it and felt that there was nothing to worry about. But after the middle-aged man spoke, they still closed their mouths. This shows the status of the three. The middle-aged man of the three is undoubtedly the principal of the trip. Outside Qian Yuanzong, 10 disciples of the Qingjing Palace stood quietly outside the Qian Yuanzong formation. Then why the sect leader of Qian Yuanzong hasn't shown up yet? Knowing that we are here, come out and meet what we are still grappling with. Let's wait for him, a small sect leader, a big face. A handsome young man dressed in purple clothes said impatiently, the pale yellow air luck rises above this place, and you can see that it is a 7th stage sect, a small one that doesn't even have an innate realm cultivator. Moreover, the terrain is generally thin. The cultivation base, the disciple of sect, is not that good, and there are not many disciples in the Viscera state. In addition, it is surrounded by forests and the surrounding area is open and easy to attack and difficult to defend. I really don't know how someone will build sect here. I guess if we come here for a while, I'm afraid this place will be weirdly flattened. Listening to this purple-clothed young man talking about this place, he was full of contempt for this place, and the others around him responded with compliments. Brother Hongyun is a descendant of Chu Elder, how can such a small place be in your eyes? Yes, Brother Hongyun reached the pinnacle of the aperture throughout realm when he was only 20 years old. He is a rare genius in our Purity Palace. How can this Qian Yuanzong person compare with you? In a barren place like theirs, it is normal for spiritual qi to be thin. At the beginning, our Qingjing Palace was also thanks to the High Elder formation, and it took countless spirit stones and various precious materials to lay it out and cover the entire clean. The spirit gathering array of the palace, spiritual qi is more than 10 times richer than here. Listening to the flattery of the people around him, Chu Hongyun felt a little airy. The reason why he came to Qian Yuanzong's side from a long distance this time was because his grandfather, who was the retired elder and formation great master Chu Bianshan among the population just now, came over hard. As an innate realm cultivator and the former sect leader of Qingjing Palace, Chu Bianshan has a very long-term perspective. Qingjing Palace is now preparing to compete for the position of the domain master in the 10 territory competition. On the other hand, they are desperately trying to decipher the formation of an ancient ruin they found, if they can open this ancient ruin and obtain the treasures in it. The strength of the Purity Palace may climb a few more steps, and then it will not be impossible to win the 10 domain competition by then. Chu Bianshan used the shard of stone slab in his hand as the formation path. The great master determined that the stone slab should be the key to open this ruin. He didn't tell anyone about this. Instead, it took a long time to create an array disk based on the unique aura on the slate fragment in his hand that could locate the remaining fragments with the same aura as this slab. After the formation was made, Chu Bianshan immediately dispatched his own confidant and asked him to retrieve the slate fragments found on the formation according to the position on the formation. That's why the two things of Chasing Sun Palace and today were created. If you don't want to quietly get the slate fragments, the Purity Palace can send a large number of masters to fight directly and grab it. Why bother looking for help from the Sun Palace? Chu Bianshan's goal is to get all the benefits of that ruin alone, waiting for his strength ascension to go up. Take back the position of sect leader in the Purity Palace. Thinking of the fact that his palace lord position was taken away, Chu Bianshan felt a fire in his heart. Today, the two major factions in the Palace of Purity are constraining and contending with each other. Among them, the current palace owner has many powerful masters, and 4 of the 8 innate realm elders in the clan are loyal supporters of the current palace owner. In addition, Jinning, the lord of the Palace of Purity, is still the cultivator of innate realm's peak, with a total of 5 innate realm as support, and the lord of the palace, as steady as Mount Tai, occupies an absolute dominant position. The 4 innate realm cultivators who support Ji Ning are all cultivated by Ji Ning and belong to Ji Ning's loyal support. At the beginning, the group headed by Ji Ning was aggressive and ambitious, and their goal was to compete for the domain masters of the Kaiyuan domain. For this reason, they deliberately worked together for a long time, and Xu Yizhong won many sects around and became their allies. 36%. Chapter 95. Grasping an existing situation. Chu Bianshan, who was still the lord of the Palace of Cleansing at the beginning, knew the plan of Ji Ning and his group, and strongly opposed it. He believes that the strength of the Purity Palace at this stage is not enough to compete with the domain owner, and he does not want the Purity Palace to participate in such things. Challenge the lord of a domain. If you succeed, it's good to say. If you fail, the Palace of Purification will be wiped out. He didn't dare to gamble on this possibility with the lives of all the disciples in the whole family. Because of this matter, the two parties quarreled for a long time. Under Chu Bianshan's strong insistence, Ji Ning was helpless, and Chu Bianshan thought that the matter had just passed. But I didn't expect Ji Ning to rely on the strong strength of innate realm's 7th floor and the 4 innate realm masters under him to abruptly snatch the status of palace master from Chu Bianshan. After becoming the sect leader of the Purity Palace, Ji Ning has been accumulating strength. His qualifications are already extremely high. Coupled with the tilt of sect resources after becoming the sect leader, Ji Ning soon reached the peak of innate realm. Ji Ning intends to break through his own cultivation base to Dao realm first, so that Purity Palace can be promoted to 5th rank sect, and the overall strength of Purification Palace will accumulate faster in ascension. At that time, he will participate in the 10 domain competition. The position of the domain master is more certain. Unfortunately, after Ji Ning stepped into the peak of innate realm, cultivation base has been stagnant. In the innate realm, he has been squandered for 10 years without making any progress. This incident dealt a huge blow to Ji Ning, but fortunately, the sky is boundless. Just when he was at a loss, he abruptly found a ruin with the guidance of the broken stone slab in the clean palace. Ji Ning felt a strong celestial charm outside the ruins, and saw the aura rising inside the ruins. He concluded that there must be some incredible treasures or inheritance hidden in the ruins. If he can get the treasures in it, there is hope for the breakthrough innate realm to reach the realm. But when he wanted to enter the ruins, he found that a large formation outside the ruins blocked his way, sealing the entire ruins tightly. He can't get in at all. The next thing is simple. Ji Ning wants to open this ruin and find a way to make him break through the innate realm. So I gave the slate fragment in my hand to Chu Bianshan, who is proficient in formation, to study, but the ruins were hidden. As the sect leader of the Purity Palace, Chu Bianshan also has a very deep and complicated network of relations and influences, thus knowing Ji Ning's plan, and secretly researching the secret of slate and concealing it. Send his own confidant to help him collect the remaining slate fragments. Both Ji Ning and Chu Bianshan had their own calculations, and neither trusted anyone, so the Purity Palace did not send anyone to snatch the slate fragments. This gave Li Fan a chance to grow stronger. In Qianyuanzong, Li Fan walked in the forefront, and 3 disciples behind him followed him to the outside of the clan with 3 shame-faced and dejected people. I'm coming. Then the sect leader of Qianyuanzong finally came out. The 3 people behind him are. A group of people from the Qingjing Palace said when they saw the people from Qianyuanzong. Chu Hongyun looked ugly as he clenched his teeth. These 3 wastes were actually caught by them. That's right. Behind Li Fan are Ji Wencheng, Jia Hebi, and Gong Jing, who secretly sneaked into Qianyuanzong, who wanted to steal the slate fragments, with the array-breaking amulet given by Chu Bianshan. Don't worry. Let everyone wait a long time. Li Fan looked at Chu Hongyun and said with a calm expression. Oh, by the way, according to what they said, they seem to be familiar with some of them. I don't know if they can recognize them. If they slander you, I will immediately kill them to vent some of the major disciples of the Purification Palace. The group of Qingjing Palace remained silent, not knowing how to answer. Speaking of acquaintance, wouldn't it be admitted that they sent someone to steal something in Sect? But if they don't know each other, can they really watch Ji Wencheng, Jia Hebi, and Gong Jing die in front of them? In particular, Gong Jing is the big disciple of Elder, who is the cleanest in the palace. His status is extraordinary. If he died here, they would not be able to confess to Chu Bianshan. The few people in the Qingjing Palace looked at Chu Hongyun with a distressed expression, and did not speak. Among the people present, only Chu Hongyun was qualified to bear the consequences of this incident. Chu Hongyun looked upset. Originally, his grandfather Chu Bianshan asked him to lead his disciples to Qian Yuanzong to quietly retrieve the slate fragments this time, in order to support his reputation in the clan. Now that this matter has been messed up and his own people have been involved, how can he not be angry in his heart? Let Chu Bianshan know that he can't even handle this little thing. How can he still have the face to see Chu Bianshan? Moreover, this incident will also seriously affect his position in Chu Bianshan's heart. In the future, the power in the Palace of Purity will be divided by his other brothers, which Chu Hongyun cannot accept. Li Sect leader is so powerful that he actually said that my disciple from the Purification Palace is a little thief. It seems that he was prejudiced and dissatisfied with my Purity Palace for a long time. Chu Hongyun said. Li Fan smiled lightly and looked at Chu Hongyun in front of him with interest. I don't know who your excellency is. It seems that this is the person who admits that the people behind me are the Purity Palace. I am Chu Hongyun, the grandson of the retired elder Chubian Mountain in Qingjing Palace. The 3 under Li Sect leader were specially sent by me to invite your excellency. How? HMPH, Chu Hongyun, Qingjing Palace, you are so brave to send someone to trespass my Qian Yuanzong to steal my sect treasure. What should be the crime? Li Fan interrupted Chu Hongyun's questioning with a cold face. Chu Hongyun pointed at Li Fan angrily. You. What are you? There are no rules. Even if the lord of your Purity Palace sees me, he will call him sect leader Li respectfully. A group of juniors came to my clan to steal my Qianyuanzong treasure in the name of visiting me. Is this the style of your Purification Palace? It's really disappointing. Hurry up and hand over the things you stole, and I will spare your life. Li Fan said coldly. The 10 members of the Qingjing Palace watched Li Fan scold them fiercely, with anger on their faces. They were almost laughing at Li Fan, a small sect leader of the 7th rank sect. Where did the courage to question their people in the Palace of Purity? Even if you send someone to sneak into your Qian Yuanzong and be discovered, so what? Don't hurry up and let the people go and dare to be so arrogant. Really think their Purity Palace is a reasonable place. If the strength is poor, you can recognize the own position. This world only talks about who is right or wrong with the fist. Chu Hongyun wanted to scold him back, but just as he was about to speak, he was stopped by an elderly man with long beard and white hair and a goat face beside him. The old man glanced at Chu Hongyun with a serious face, and his eyes revealed a little disappointment. As someone who wants to control a power in the future, he can't handle even this little thing. Luo Shi was a bit disappointed at this Chu Hongyun, who had been trained for a long time by Chu Bianshan's high hopes. Seeing the serious expression of the old man beside him, Chu Hongyun trembled in his heart, not talking too much. The old man's name is Luo Shi, and he is the elder of the old school of Purification Palace of his grandfather Chu Bianshan. He has been in charge of the Purification Palace for many years. He is also the cultivation base on the 5th floor of Innate Realm, and he is highly respected. Luo Shi, even his grandfather Chu Bianshan, should treat each other solemnly. He is not something he can refute. Li Sect leader, give the old man a face and let these juniors go. This is just a misunderstanding. Luo Shi released the pressure of his own innate realm and said lightly. We didn't take anything from Guizhong. We hope that sect leader Li will speak carefully and not wantonly slander my Purity Palace, otherwise the anger of my Purity Palace, sect leader, will not necessarily be able to bear it. Li Fan looked at Luo Shi in front of him, frowning. 37%. Chapter 96. Who are you going to teach me for? Oh, according to your words, I did this thing wrong. Li Fan said, it looks like you want to use your strength to suppress me and bow your heads. I really want to see the anger of the Purity Palace. How can I bear it? That's amazing. It's stubborn. Today I will educate you as a kid on your behalf. Luo Shi broke out of innate realm's power, shot out with anger, and slapped Li Fan with a palm. Gong Jing, who was tied up behind Li Fan, also looked happy, and said loudly, Luo Elder must teach this little bastard a lesson. After offending the person in our Purity Palace, and provoking Luo Elder to take action personally, this Li Fan is dead. Gong Jing watched Luo Shi's action, thinking of the miserable appearance of Li Fan who had just insulted him and was killed by Luo Shi's suppression, and felt a burst of happiness in his heart. He has never been humiliated so much since he entered the gate of Chubian Mountain. Today, he will let this ignorant Li Fan regret what he did just now. Thinking of what happened in Qian Yuanzong just now, Gong Jing felt resentful in his heart. Just now, the 3 of Gong Jing carefully followed the guidance of the formation in their hands and came to the location of Qian Yuanzong's warehouse. As soon as the three of them opened the warehouse door, before they could do anything, Li Fan suddenly appeared in front of them. At this time, the three of Gong Jing didn't care about hiding. They wanted to kill Li Fan, who was blocking them in front of them, snatched the slate fragments and left quickly. As a result, Li Fan was found to be strong and powerful after the match. They weren't opponents at all, and they were stopped when they met. Seeing that the situation was not good, Gong Jing directly identified their identities and asked Li Fan to let them go. Li Fan ignored them. Gong Jing didn't give up and even threatened that if Li Fan didn't let them go, Qingjing Palace would destroy the entire Qianyuanzong in the future. Li Fan was really annoying to listen to it, so he took care of a few people, and then they calmed down. Snapped. Among the three, Gong Jing's head was smashed by Luo Shi's palm, and the white and red splashed all over the floor. Looking at the scene in front of them, the few people in the Qingjing Palace were dumbfounded. What is the situation? How did Luo Elder kill Chu Elder's disciple Gong Jing? He just said that the person to be taught was not Li Fan but Gong Jing. Hey, Li Fan looked at Luo Shi, clapped his hands and said, Your Excellency really knows the truth and knows that stealing is bad, so I gave a severe lesson to the little thieves I caught. It's just that the attack is a little heavy. I thought it would be better to let them learn a little bit. I didn't expect Your Excellency to attack the killer. Alas, it's too cruel. Luo Shi's expression condensed, and he was surprised. What a quick movement technique. The scene just now may not be seen clearly by others, but Luo Shi, as the cultivator of innate realm, naturally understood it. Originally, his palm was directed at Li Fan, but at that moment, Li Fan's figure turned, lifting Gong Jing to his position just now, blocking his attack with Gong Jing's body. Looking at Gong Jing, who was dead and couldn't die anymore, Luo Shi felt resentful and said loudly, You disperse, this kid movement technique is very cruel and cruel. Just now he used Gong Jing's body to block my palm, be careful of him so the technique is repeated. Hearing Luo Shi's words, everyone in the Qingjing Palace also understood what had happened just now, and quickly moved away from this battlefield. The remaining two people tied up behind Li Fan were also panicked. They wanted to run but couldn't. Don't worry, I am a principled person and never kill people. Li Fan glanced at the two people he had caught behind him, and said in a deep voice. Ji Wencheng, Jia and Bai looked at Li Fan, who was smiling, and a chill in their hearts passed and turned away, not daring to look directly at them, and thought, Just kidding, you killed Gong Jing by blocking Gong Jing's knife so simply and neatly. Quote. Also don't worry, saying that we don't want to kill people, do you believe it yourself? Ji Wencheng, Jia and Bai felt that the kind-faced Li Fan in front of them was an evil spirit. Of course, they didn't dare to say these things. Didn't they see Gong Jing's fate just now? It was just because he scolded him and it was so cool now. Li Fan didn't mind the thoughts of Ji Wencheng, Jia and Bai. He did not control his own emotions for a while. All along, no matter what happened, Li Fan's performance has always been relatively calm, but the words Gong Jing and Luo Shi just said made him feel the anger that had been suppressed in his heart. For him, his parents' affairs have always been a heart disease in his heart, and anyone who raises his scar will die. Seeing that the Qingjing Palace had all retreated, Luo Shi was relieved. As for Ji Wencheng and Jia and Bai, who were caught by Li Fan, he could only say that he was alive and dead. It is impossible for him to give up killing Li Fan for fear of accidentally hurting them. If you die, I will let the entire Qianyuanzong be buried for you. Luo Shi glanced at Ji Wencheng, Jia and Bai, and said in his heart. Luo Shi didn't think much about it, and sacrificed a three-legged red copper pill furnace. There was a steaming fire in the pill furnace. Go! Luo Shi gave an order, and the fire in the three-legged copper pill furnace rose from the furnace and turned into a pitch-black demonic beast shaped like a big dog. Li Fan stood quietly on the spot, watching the oncoming fierce beast made of flames reveal a strange color. This thing seems to be fighting against the misfortune recorded in the Shanhai Jing. Misfortune is like a dog, eating fire, and dung is also a fire, which can burn houses. Interesting. Li Fan's body also rose with a hot and bright golden flame, shaped like a big sun, which is the vision of the extremely hot big sun's divine body after reaching the Tao realm. Li Fan raised his hand, condensed a big flame hand in the air, and grabbed the black scourge. What? Luo Shi was shocked. The fierce fiery beast he sacrificed from the pill furnace just now was the strange fire of heaven and earth that he had collected from a secret realm. This fire is full of spiritual qi and violent. It took him a full 10 years of refinement to take it away. Before he drove this fire to the enemy every time he did nothing to lose. With this strange fire, he had few opponents in the innate realm. But now, Li Fan in front of him could easily control the fierce beast that this cremation had turned into, and Luo Shi naturally trembled in his heart. He blessed a large amount of spirit power in his body on the flames, and the momentum of the black flames became more and more profound and violent. But no matter how Luo Shi drives Fahui, and how hard he struggles with the catastrophe captured by Li Fan in the air, he can't shake the golden flames. It's a pure and violent flame, but it's a pity. Li Fan's large hand of flame condensed abruptly, smashing the battle that was struggling in midair directly, turning it into a sky full of flames and dissipating. Puff! Luo Shi spit out a mouthful of blood. After his day and night rituals, Mido Chi Huo had been tightly connected to his mind. The fire in Mido was crushed by Li Fan, and he was also backlashed. Seeing that the misfortune was destroyed, Luo Shi quickly gathered spirit power to unleash a powerful spell to attack Li Fan. But before he could do anything, Li Fan's knife was already on his neck. Li Fan looked down at Luo Shi and said with deep eyes, "Who did you say you were going to teach me for?" He said that his full body suddenly exploded, and the strength above innate realm was fully revealed. 37%. Chapter 97. The Vicious Li Fan. The icy long knife lay on Luo Shi's neck, and a biting chill came from the long knife and also rose in his heart. How could you be so strong? Feeling the astonishing aura that erupted from Li Fan, Luo Shi's heart was ashamed, and he fell into deep regret. The gentle-faced youth in front of him was far from someone he could afford. The rest of the Qingjing palace stared at Li Fan blankly. They didn't expect Luo Shi to lose, or to lose so simply. That was the innate realm cultivator. The elder, who was the top 3 in the cleansing palace, was easily defeated by an unnamed sect leader Li Fan in front of him. They can't believe it. Chu Hongyun trembled all over, and she was terrified in her heart, but she still pointed at Li Fan and said tremblingly, You. Let go of Luo Elder. If you dare to kill Luo Elder, our purity palace must be with you Qianyuanzong. Quote. Li Fan just looked at Chu Hongyun coldly, and told him to hold back the words in his stomach, not daring to say more. Luo Shi shook his head and sighed. The matter has come to this point. It is too late to say anything. The concept he has always believed in is the weaker prey to the strong survival of the fittest. Since it was defeated, there is nothing to say. He lowered his head and said, Your Excellency has won. I just hope Your Excellency can lift up your precious hands and let go of these juniors in my purity palace. They don't have any deep hatred with Guizhong, and you don't have to commit murder. First of all, you are not qualified to make any request with me. Li Fan's eyes showed a bit of murderous intent, but it quickly calmed down, and continued. Secondly, there is no problem if you want me to let them go or even let you go, but you have to answer a few questions for me. After tea time, Li Fan finally got the answer he wanted. How did they find this place, and where did they know that he had what they wanted? What's the secret of these slates? Why do they want to get them so much? They even came to Qianyuanzong to ask him for trouble after several tens of thousands of miles. Whose hands are the rest of the slate? After getting an answer, Li Fan pondered for a while. Luo Shi looked at Li Fan, who was frowning and contemplative, and cautiously tentatively said, Everything I know has been told to Senior, can you let us go? Li Fan looked at Luo Shi in front of him, his frowning brows suddenly loosened. Of course you can, but I want to ask where you plan to go after you are released. When Luo Shi heard Li Fan's words, he thought he was worried that he would cause trouble for him, and hurriedly said, Senior, don't worry, I will never mention Senior to the clan after I return to the clan, and I won't make trouble for Senior. We can take the heavenly Dao oath. After saying that, even afraid that Li Fan would not believe it, Luo Shi quickly added another sentence. Li Fan waved his hand. You said just now that you want to go back to the Palace of Purity, right? I'll send you back. After speaking, he showed a harmless and kind smile. When everyone in the Qingjing Palace saw Li Fan's smile, they were so scared that their souls flew, and their hearts beat wildly. He laughed terribly. What an evil smile. He is a devil. What does he mean? Does he mean to send us to the west? Luo Shi was also in a cold sweat at this time. He looked at Li Fan and said, Don't bother. Before, Senior, we can go back by ourselves. Li Fan just looked at him quietly without speaking. Senior, if you want to kill me, kill me. The old man is enough to live for so long. I only hope that you can let go of these juniors. They haven't done anything to you. Li Fan, he just wanted to go with them to the Purity Palace, get the remaining slab, and then go to the ruins found in the Purity Palace. After all, He had just learned the function of the slate from Luo Shi's mouth, and this slate should be the key to entering the ruins. There is also the ruins that Qingjing Palace has been exploring. I heard Luo Shi said that the ruins are filled with light and spiritual qi. It also reveals the meaning of ancient times, which is very mysterious. Li Fan was also very excited when he heard his description. The treasure is not important. It is the most important thing to be able to connect to the path of spiritual practice he has broken. Since the relic described by Luo Shi is so buffin, Li Fan hopes to find his follow-up cultivation technique in it. This matter is very urgent for Li Fan, very urgent. After thinking for a while, Li Fan understood Luo Shi's thoughts before him, and he might have misunderstood him. I mean, I want to go to the Purity Palace with you. I didn't say I want to kill you, do you understand what I mean? Li Fan reluctantly said his thoughts again. But when they heard his words, Luo Shi and Qing Jinggong's complexion became even paler. Does he want to kill everyone in our entire Purity Palace? His devil is too cruel. No, we have to guard our sect, we would rather die than surrender. There are more inner dramas of the people in the Qingjing Palace. Luo Shi didn't speak anymore, as if he would rather die than surrender. Seeing the appearance of these dead pigs who are not afraid of boiling water, Li Fan sighed, do I really look like a perverted murderer? It seems that the explanation is not clear, damn it, I really have principles. Such a good person. In the end, Li Fan followed Luo Shi and others on the road to return to the Purity Palace. On a crimson ark, Li Fan in the 12 lotus position of the Qingjing Palace sat on the ark and closed their eyes contemplatively. Along the way, the long-bearded old man Luo Shi always stared at Li Fan secretly, and Li Fan looked a little uncomfortable. What does this old man mean? How do you always look at me? Is it that I am deeply impressed by my domineering spirit? Doesn't this old man want to be my little brother? Li Fan thought nonsense in his heart. Li Fan looked up at Luo Shi and saw his wretched eyes again. There was a chill in his heart, as this old man with thick eyebrows, big eyes and a kind face ag. Thinking of this, Li Fan glared at Luo Shi viciously and said, what do you see? Hurry up and lead the way, I will level all of your purification palace in the ink. After finishing speaking, Luo Shi looked scared, and quickly turned his head and looked away, as if nothing had happened. Even the speed of the ark under Li Fan was a bit faster. Obviously, Luo Shi had heard Li Fan's words, and the spirit power that urged the ark had increased a lot. No way, when Luo Shi and others heard Li Fan want to go back to the Pure Palace with them when they were in Qian Yuanzong, they thought that Li Fan wanted to destroy them all. All of them regard death as their hometown. Of course, they are not afraid of death, or they are really such great self-sacrificing. But their families, wives and children are also in the clean palace, even if they are afraid no longer, they dare not really bring this murderous god over. Compared to dying in the hands of this killer, it is better than all GGs of the whole family. Li Fan obviously guessed that they must have completely distorted his image, and simply changed the way of talking with them. Said that he was going to the Purity Palace to snatch the slate fragments in their hands, and also asked the Purity Palace to spend money to redeem them, severely blackmailing them a treasure of spirit stones. In response to Li Fan's efforts to pretend to be fierce and evil, Luo Shi and the others immediately let go of their hearts and happily agreed to take Li Fan back to Sect. These people are really sick. Li Fan thought bitterly, dissatisfied with their distorted own image. He is obviously a good person, so no one believes him. Thinking about it, Li Fan also condensed his mind and carefully studied his current realm. After all, the eggs can't all be put in the same basket. In case there is nothing in the ruins, and the breath of the same source of power on the stone slab is just not knowing where it came from, it will not be over. 3 days later, a place like a paradise appeared in front of Li Fan. With green mountains and clear waters, birds and flowers, there is not a trace of mist covering a radius of 500 miles, and plenty of sunlight is sprinkled on this land, and also in the city that covers an area of 300 miles. That's right, Li Fan wiped his eyes and thought he had hallucinations. Looking at the familiar scenery in front of him, Luo Shi felt a loose heart. He looked at Li Fan and said, the Qingjing Palace is here. 37%. Chapter 98. What a big city. The huge city that can't be seen stands quietly, and the bustle of the town is full of hustle and bustle. There are young children, old people, young people who are not able to practice, and there are also many cultivators with cultivation base hanging out in the market, which is a lively scene. Li Fan took a closer look and found that this city really deserves the word big. The entire city covers an area of 300 li. The total area is almost 10 times the size of Blue Star Yanjing where Li Fan is located. The population in the city is also very large, with a population of tens of millions. Unexpectedly, it turns out that such a huge urban civilization still exists in this world. Li Fan secretly said in his heart, compared with his Qian Yuanzong is indeed a little cold and shabby. Seeing Li Fan's unconcealed look of shock on Li Fan's face, Luo Shi also felt a sense of pride in his heart. I was shocked to see this killing god. It seems that my purity palace is still very powerful, and Luo Shi has regained some confidence again. Along the way, Li Fan was interested in talking with the purity palace and others. Luo Shi and others were also willing to tell them about the rise of their purity palace to promote the greatness of their purity palace, how Sect was built in the first place, and how to step by step became the #1 sect in the Kanglan domain, and how did this prosperous human city build. Li Fan is completely uninterested in their family history. After all, if you want to talk about the speed of Sect's development, if he tells them about Qian Yuanzong's promotion from the 9th sect to the 5th rank sect in less than 3 months, here, I guess they will not believe. However, Li Fan is still very interested in the subsidiary city outside the Qingjing Palace. Thinking about his Qian Yuanzong, it is indeed too deserted. And if you want to continue to grow the sect power in the future, the Ascension sect grade still needs more people to join his sect. In other words, the reason why he has grown so fast on this road seems to be thanks to the sects, the Ghost Sect, and the Sanzong Alliance who continue to trouble him. If not for the annexation of these sect forces, he has brought him a lot of trouble. Qian Yuanzong could not develop so fast for his disciples and resources. After all, Qian Yuanzong's deep mountains and old forests are deserted and uninhabited. Not to mention anything else, it's hard to find someone to recruit some disciples into the sect, let alone expand the sect power. So thanks to those sects who came to trouble him, Li Fan silently praised the sect leaders he killed, and gave himself up, the People's Guard. However, after thinking about it carefully, Li Fan happened to find that the threads behind these sects were related to the Purity Palace in front of him. He had obtained the first slab fragment from demonic beasts who killed the toad in Anlong Valley. After destroying the Ghost Sect, a second slab fragment was found, and then it was located by the people of the Purity Palace, attracting the people who chased the Sun Palace's 3-sect alliance. Thinking of this, Li Fan shook his head. It seems that he is really related to the Purity Palace. I don't know what surprises the Purity Palace can bring to him. Li Fan smiled slightly, thinking about it in his heart. Li Fan looked deeply at the prosperous city in front of him, thinking in his heart, it would be great if I could move this city back to my Qian Yuanzong, then the picture must be very good, hee. Luo Shi and Li Fan walked in the city, while taking Li Fan to appreciate the lively atmosphere of this prosperous city, and at the same time, they also told Li Fan that this city is very important, and they are also responsible for the survival of the thousands of sects in the Kanglan region. Big plan. The Kanglan region is vast and sparsely populated, but the number of sects is not too small. What about these sects' necessities, food, shelter, and the recruitment of sect disciples? These responsibilities naturally fall into the only large city in the entire Kanglan region. Of course, this city is not only built by the Qingjing Palace, after all, everyone has enjoyed these benefits, and naturally they have to work together. All sects in the Kanglan domain above grade 8 need to pay for the construction of this city, with the rich and powerful. Only in this way is qualified to purchase the materials and recruit disciples here. Because many sects are relatively poor, there is no spirit stones to fund the construction of this city, so many disciples are simply sent here to station. Responsible for maintaining the safety here and fighting against weirdness. Fortunately, this place is used to maintain the safety of the city, and the number of patrols fighting against the weird has reached a terrifying 100,000. Only in this way can the safety of such a huge city be maintained, and in the end, because most of the sect has contributed to the construction of this city is also named Kirancheng, which means that the human race is working together. After Luo Shi finished speaking, he smiled and looked at Li Fan beside him, wanting to see the shocking expression of this murderous man. As a result, when he turned his head and saw Li Fan's unkind smile, Luo Shi trembled, and the smile on his face disappeared. Damn it, can't say any more. How do I feel that this ruthless man wants to empty our entire city? Luo Shi quickened his pace subconsciously, closed his mouth tightly and stopped talking to Li Fan. Soon the two arrived in front of the real Purity Palace, and a magnificent mountain gate greeted Li Fan's eyes. Senior, please wait here for a while, I'll ask Chu Elder to come and meet you. Luo Shi took Li Fan into the Pure Palace and arranged for him to sit down in a guest room and said. Li Fan nodded, saying nothing more. Yeah. Now that they are here, Li Fan is not afraid of any tricks they play with him. After coming to the Purity Palace just now, Li Fan has already used the Wandering Sacred Eye to sweep through the formations here, and there is no danger that threatens him. In an antique room in the Qingjing Palace, Luo Shi and an old man with a stubborn and serious face in front of him were talking. What? You failed, and Gong Jing is dead. The old man with Gujilian's skinny body muscles suddenly tightened, 2 green veins appeared on his forehead, and he patted the mahogany table beside him. How dare they? I want to let them that Qian Yuanzong buried my disciple with him. Luo Shi looked at the old man with fire above his head and sighed, and he knew it would be like this. Chu Bianshan is the same generation as him. He belongs to a good friend who grew up in the Qingjing Palace together since childhood. He knows Chu Bianshan's stinky temper very well. He is stubborn, serious, and very short-sighted. But in this matter, I'm afraid it can't be as old as Chu's wish. Luo Shi waited until Chu Bianshan calmed down and repeated what had happened in Qian Yuanzong. After he finished speaking, Chu Bian, who looked skinny but energetic, slammed into the chair, and said, My apprentice can't avenge my apprentice. I have to give him the fragment of the stone slab and the key to the ruin. Chu Bianshan's eyes were full of unwillingness and anger. Luo Shi knew that he couldn't accept it in his heart, but he knew that Chu Bianshan couldn't change this. After all, neither the Dao Realm cultivator nor a 5th-rank sect could offend them. Chu Bianshan took out the slate fragments that he had kept close to his body, and gently brushed the uneven slate with his thin palms. He muttered in his heart, Is it true that I can really take the opportunity to cupped hands to make people? Ji Ning's vigorous and powerful line is getting stronger and stronger, but the older generation under me is rare in strength. Once the ruins are handed over, I may not have half a chance to regain the position of Palace Master of the Purity Palace. Gradually, Chubian Mountain's godless eyes flashed a flash of light, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I can't get you and don't even think about it. 38%. Chapter 99. Not a request, but a notice. Lao Luo, if you find someone to spread the news, you said that I have worked out a way to enter the ruins, and then spread out the incident that Qianyuanzong's sect leader came to snatch the keys to the ruins. Chu Bianshan said coldly. Luo Shi was stunned when he heard Chu Bianshan's words. How could he not understand what Chu Bianshan meant? He wanted to kill someone with a knife. However, this is nothing in comparison. If this matter is not known to Ji Ning, the slate fragments they handed over to Chu Bianshan will be secretly given to others by him when they find out. Things are more troublesome. Chu Bianshan and the people of his line will be suppressed by Ji Ning. Okay, Luo Shi, who wanted to understand, nodded and confessed the matter, and then took Chu Bianshan to the room where Li Fan was. Chu Bian Shanrao heard that Luo Shi had said in his ear many times that Qian Yuanzong sect leader Li Fan's talent was so outstanding and unfathomable that he had reached the Dao realm at a young age. When he walked in, he was still deeply shocked to see Li Fan. It's not just young, it's too young. Chu Bianshan looked at Li Fan carefully. How did he look at this young man who was only 23 or 4? He couldn't help but doubt that the man in front of him really had the strength of the Dao realm. Didn't Lao Luo be deceived by someone? But after a while, he ruled out the speculation in his mind. Luo Shi is also an innate realm cultivator who has practiced for more than 50 years. How could he be unable to judge this? Li sect leader was a hero who was born in a young age, and he has already entered the Dao realm at a young age. It is really embarrassing to leave us old men behind. Chu Bian with a kind smile on the mountain, he came up to praise Li Fan one sentence. Li Fan took a deep look at Chu Bianshan and greeted him with a smile. Chu Elder has a deep foundation and has only known people. I heard that Chu Elder has a hand in hand to say that all the big formations in the world can't stop you. Chu Bianshan also laughed. After exposing this topic, he couldn't hear what Li Fan meant, but after all, he is not a thin-skinned person. The two chatted for a few words and then they came to the topic. Chu Elder, did you bring that piece of slab in your hand? Of course, but I want to ask Li sect leader what he knows about this ruin. Listening to Chu Bianshan's words, Li Fan said lightly, What does Chu Elder mean by this? Chu Bianshan smiled. In order to study the method of opening the ruins, I spent 3 years surveying the surrounding terrain and the layout of the landscape. There are also shallow guesses about the ruins. As far as I can guess, the place is not like a simple secret realm, but like a huge mausoleum. As a mausoleum, the feng shui pattern in it is very particular, but these are not the key. The important thing is that as a mausoleum, No matter what the burial is, the tomb owner definitely does not want anyone to enter his tomb to disturb him, so the formation in the tomb must not include some unimaginable dangers. So, I suggest that sect leader Lee can take me into this ruin together. I believe my knowledge of that ruin and formation knowledge can also bring you some little help. After Chu Bianshan said these words, he looked at Li Fan with a smile. No need. Li Fan looked at Chu Bianshan indifferently. Seeing Li Fan reject him so swiftly and neatly, Chu Bianshan's face is also a bit ugly, even if his face is thick enough. Li Fan's blushing. Chu Bianshan stared at Li Fan closely. Li sect leader doesn't have to refuse so quickly. You can consider making a decision again, in case you need my ally in a while. Oh, it seems Chu elder is very confident. Li Fan looked at him jokingly, and said, but before that, give me the last piece. My patience is limited. Unexpectedly, this kid is too arrogant to not enter. Chu Bianshan's expression was tangled, and he cursed secretly in his heart. He is now very much looking forward to Ji Ning's people coming over quickly. He doesn't want to hand over the chips in his hand. After all, it is easy to hand it over, but it is difficult to get it back. Calculate the time, they should have arrived too. Chu elder, you seem to be delaying time. Li Fan looked at Chu Bianshan, who was faintly anxious, and said with a joke. Li sect leader joked, I. Before Chu Bianshan's words fell, the room where Li Fan was sitting was pushed aside. A middle-aged man dressed in a black robe and face with a jujube, standing outside the door blankly looking at Li Fan and Chu Bianshan in the room, and said coldly, Chu elder, you are going to betray the Qingjing Palace. Palace Master Ji doesn't need to put a big hat on the old man. The old man is just discussing with this Li sect leader how to open the ruins, where there is any betrayal of sect. Chu Bianshan didn't seem surprised at all to the sudden appearance of the people, calmly replied. Ji Ning snorted coldly and looked at Chu Bianshan and said, I'll talk about you later. Then he turned his head to look at Li Fan, who is your excellency, what are you doing in my purity palace? Li Fan looked at these people silently, and said in a deep voice, do you need me to repeat what you people in the purification palace do? It will be clear if you ask elders confidant to ask. You. Hearing Li Fan's unkind words, the elders around Ji Ning were about to scold the arrogant junior in front of them, but they were stopped by Ji Ning before they could say it. Ji Ning looked indifferent and motionless. Li Fan smiled. Your excellency should have come for the remains of my purification palace, but I am afraid that I will disappoint you. We will not open this site to the public, nor will we release it. Give the key to the ruin to someone else. Your excellency got the key to the remains of my purification palace by accident. Please return it. I will give you a backup gift to show your gratitude. It seems that Ji sect leader has known the things that Chu elder sent to do, but he hasn't said it. It's really a good method. Li Fan shook his head and continued, but is Ji sect leader too much? It's whimsical. Ji Ning looked at Li Fan suspiciously. What do you mean? The smile on Li Fan's face was put away, and his icy eyes swept over everyone present. He looked at Chu Bianshan, who was sitting on a chair, with an anxious look on one side, and at Ji Ning, who had a majestic but not humble face, and said, since Ji sect leader knows that his disciple has failed, Bai should also know that Li is not an easy person. Then where did you have the courage to prevaricate Li? Remember, I came to your purification palace to take the last slate fragment, not a request but a notice. Do you understand? Li Fan exploded with a strong aura. Everyone present turned away their eyes and dared not look at him. 38%. Chapter 100 The 8 and 8 Realm Siege. With a majestic complexion, Ji Ning could not help turning away his head when seeing Li Fan's gaze that did not contain a trace of emotion like a cold-blooded animal. But after a while, Ji Ning felt a deep shame again, as if he was ashamed because of the fear of Li Fan just now. He opened his mouth firmly and said, Your Excellency is too confident, even if it is a Taoist cultivator. Your Excellency in the sight of my purification palace is too underestimating the century-old foundation of my purification palace. Finally, I will give you a chance to hand over the remains of the key fragments. My purity palace will treat you as a guest and prepare a generous gift. If your Excellency insists on going your own way, you will go today. Not out of my purification palace. Ji Ning's voice fell, and the 6 middle-aged or old cultivators behind him all exploded with the aura of innate realm, faintly surrounding the room. Looking at the situation in front of him, Chu Bianshan, who was sitting on the chair, showed a smile in his eyes. This time the development of the matter can be said to be completely in his grasp. At this point, even if Li Fan is a Dao realm cultivator, it is just a Dao realm cultivator who has just entered the Dao realm. It is impossible to fight the 8 innate realm cultivators. Now Li Fan opposite him has only 2 options. Surrender happily, hand over the slate fragments, leave the Purity Palace briefly, and the ruins have nothing to do with him. 2. That is to agree with what he said just now about the cooperation with Li Fan. A cultivator from the realm of knowledge and 3 innate realm late stage from his side joined forces to explore the relics. This can not only reverse the situation and take back the ownership of the ruins from Ji Ning, but also after the strength of his family has increased after exploring the ruins, he can also take the opportunity to suppress the Ji Ning family and take back the position of the palace lord. This can be described as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. In a small room, everyone has their own thoughts. The old god Chu Bian Shan was determined to win. Ji Ning frowned and looked at Li Fan and Chu Bian Shan. He was also vigilant to prevent Chu Bianshan from doing any tricks. As for Li Fan, he was really speechless and chirped till the end. He still had to do it. He could understand that the group of people in the world of stars are all clueless, holding a fluke to not see the coffin without weeping. Don't talk nonsense. After all, it's not about seeing the real chapter under your hand, let's use whatever means. Li Fan said. They are so convinced that the ordinary cultivator will not be the opponent of their innate realm cultivator teaming up, and it also made Li Fan a little curious. It just so happens that he also wants to see how strong he is, who is better than the ordinary Taoist realm in the foundation building realm. Li Fan felt that after he opened the door in his body, the new practice system and new power formed by fusing all his strengths should not be weaker than the normal realm, and maybe even better. So arrogant at a young age. Don't say that you are a cultivator who has just entered the Dao realm by chance. Even if you are a Dao realm expert who has been in the Dao realm for many years, I dare not despise the 8th innate realm of my Purity Palace. Palace Master gives the order. Let me wait to give this kid a good lesson. Let him know the fate of rants. Chu Bianshan saw Li Fan, who was never bowing his head, shook his head, and thought, the sect leader Li Fan of Qian Yuanzong is still too young, even though he was just over 20 years old and he entered them in 5 or 6 years. I haven't stepped into the realm at the age of 10. But it shouldn't be so rampant not to put them in the eyes, either. Let's teach him a lesson today. When he is about to be unable to support it, I can save his life at a critical moment to complete my plan, and frustrating this young man's vigor and cooperating with him will also make it easier for him to take the initiative. As Luo Shi, who has seen Li Fan's strength, sighed at Li Fan's behavior at this time. He obviously didn't think he could defeat the combined efforts of all innate realm cultivators in their Purity Palace. But this is just as he wished. Finally, he can avenge the defeat in his hands. For a time, the 7 elders of the Qingjing Palace all looked at Ji Ning, and only waited for him to give an order to hang Li Fan here. Ji Ning looked at Li Fan's nonchalant expression, his eyes flickered. Originally, he didn't want to be hostile to this young and excessive Dao cultivator. Although a mere realm of Taoism is not too much trouble in his eyes, after all, although the realm of Taoism is strong, it is only one realm higher than theirs, and Li Fan came to their Purity Palace alone. But what he worries about is that such a young Taoist cultivator must be supported and cultivated by a powerful force behind it. He believed that Li Fan must be a direct disciple cultivated by a powerful sect in a certain big domain, but he had just left where he was. Otherwise, relying on his accumulation of a small sect, even if Li Fan's talent is not cultivated by a powerful force in high school, he will never reach the realm in his early 20s. Never mind, since you are deliberately looking for death, I will do it for you. Even if the power of the teacher behind you may be extremely strong, they will not be able to find me on the cusp of Purification Palace as long as you die. Let's do it. What kind of teacher? What is behind it? Li Fan listened to Ji Ning's words with a question mark, but after a moment he probably figured it out. Ji Ning, the lord of the Purity Palace, must have made up another big show himself. He is really speechless. After Qian Yuanzong defeated Luo Shi and the few people beside him didn't seem to know what their brains had made up. They were so scared of him that he looked like a fierce ghost. As a result, now that he came to the base camp of the Purity Palace, the owner of the Purity Palace, who is not young enough, can make up his mind. It seems that this should be the talent of the people in their Purity Palace. Suddenly a loud bang pulled Li Fan back to reality, and the mountains in the room where he was located were swayed by the clouds, and a huge array of 5 elements 8 trigrams rose up in the void. This 8 trigrams formation rose from the room here, and in a blink of an eye it covered 1/3 of the Purity Palace. 5 elements 8 trigrams. A powerful breath locked Li Fan firmly, and an 8 trigrams array seemed to contain the principles of the world, and everything was in it. Do 3 links, Kun 6 breaks. Shake up the bowl, cover the bowl. Leaving the center empty, the ridge is full. Duplicate the shortcomings, and Sunda breaks down. Ji Ning groaned softly, and the strong light covered Li Fan's body, as if to take him into another world. Li Fan only felt the sky spinning around, and the exquisite room in front of him disappeared, instead of a huge 8 trigrams array full of dense runes. There are wind and thunder from heaven and earth in the array, and mountains, water and fire circulate in it. Illusion. It's interesting. Li Fan's eyes were deep and there was divine light. He chuckled and whispered. Under Li Fan's illusion-breaking pupils, the huge 8 trigrams formation in front of him was nothing but an illusion, which could not affect his mind. Or it should be said that it is not only a 5 elements 8 trigrams of the 6th rank in this area, even if it is formed higher and deeper, it is impossible to trap him. Li Fan first obtained the tyrannical talent to break the sacred pupil. According to the system, this sacred pupil can be repaired to the extreme and can break through all the illusions in the world, and he can see the great changes at a glance. For any formation, it can quickly break through the mystery and find out how to crack it. And he also has a movement technique magical power, Qianyuan Shudi. Stepping on the sky and shrinking the ground, hiding in the deep sea, nothing can stop this magical power. Qianyuan shrinking ground is not only used for driving, fleeing, and hunting down, but also a strong god-tier channel that can penetrate everything including any formation. Although these 2 talents and supernatural powers are now, Li Fan is just beginning to cultivate, and realm is still shallow. But with the combination of 2 powerful talents and supernatural powers, it can be said that there is almost no magic circle that can stop Li Fan. Break. Li Fan's eyes widened, sweeping across the large array, and then a spirit power popped out of his fingers and gently tapped a spot in the large array. With a cracking sound, this mysterious 5 elements 8 trigrams evil spirit array disappeared before it showed its power. In a blink of an eye, Li Fan was still sitting quietly on the mahogany chair in the exquisite room just now, without any movement. What's going on? How did he do it? For a moment, the house was silent, and the 8 masters of an 8 realm looked at each other, dumbfounded. Masters of an 8 realm looked at each other, dumbfounded. Masters of an 8 realm looked at